about something, and I will get some references in the meantime.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome this level up. Welcome to session 38 with nobody, because we're waiting for our guest. So Evan's a bit late today because he's on a plane, so he will join us in about 20 minutes. But since we already have a lot of people watching, we don't want to make you wait too long. So we thought we'd start a little bit earlier and just talk a little bit and do some stuff before our guest joins us, and then from there we will just start the regular session. Wojtek isn't with us today because he is very tired from his hard work at the studio this week. What a drag. And he likes to do the cha-cha like a sissy girl. So, yeah, I'm here in Miami, as you can see right now, on the beach. And Darek is in Poland. So let's start the session.
Yeah, hey guys, let's do it. And Evan will join us in 20 minutes or so. So
Wait a minute.
Hello.
There we go. Our guest is here.
Hello.
Hey man.
Sorry for the big delay. I just got into Prague, and my friend isn't here, so I'm sitting in like the lobby of a local hotel.
Oh, really?
Okay, cool.
Evan, if you want to take a bit of time to get comfortable and just set yourself up, feel free to do so. There's no rush. So, because we were already thinking about how we could maybe spend some time, do some overpainting or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay, so I'll be back in about 20 minutes when he'll be here, and I'll get set up properly with like a good webcam and everything.
Cool.
All right.
Superb.
See you then.
We'll see you in a bit then. Okay, so Darek's gonna actually start some overpaintings. So I'm gonna lock it to his screen, and if you guys have any questions, like more general questions, I guess, not to our guest, then yeah, feel free to ask them. So, Darek, the screen is yours.
Cool. Okay, you can see my face.
And I'm gonna eat a little bit because.
Yeah, I'm eating right now. I'm not at my home, not on my computer, so I will be a bit laggy with choosing the works. Maybe let's start with that one. It's by Felix Ortiz, and it's already quite cool. But I already see something that can be adjusted yet, especially with the depth and the scale. With the textures bumping up in the foreground, and they are, supposed to be in the background. So maybe let's separate the layers.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of the image is very monochromatic, so you probably would want to introduce just a little bit of color in there. So
yeah,
because like, when you have an image that's very gray, if it's actually gray, it never looks good because then it just looks desaturated. You actually just need very, very subtle colors, but that are almost gray, but not exactly.
Yeah, you can just use some replacements in colors, like like some bluish stuff, or some very subtle greens, and it already make your colors better and enhance your color palette. And it's very subtle and slight, but yeah, we can guarantee it will work so much, and especially for the lighting.
And do you feel like there should be a slight compositional change as well?
Yeah, but let me finish about that lighting, because we can see a lot of textures from the fire, but they don't have any impact on the objects around, right? We can see they are pasted, and in some farther areas they are just subdued on opacity or so. and it doesn't look good because the colors from the fire are blending with that gray, and it makes very dirty effect. It can be subdued, but the best results if you just do it manually, right? Not just blending the fire with existing grays that are all around in the picture.
Yeah, because when you do a transparency change on things that are illuminating, like fire, you will always get very muddy colors, and that's just not how light works. It just always looks very ugly. You need to be very careful with that.
Yeah. So yeah, as you said, I think that the composition can be fixed a little bit yet. Maybe I will just save. Wait. Copy. So I will try to play around with the scale and with the size and dimensions of the turbo stuff. Washing out some. So far, I don't have any references prepared, so it will be mostly like pure overpaint with brush. Maybe in the meantime, I will try to search for some textures and the details on there. But for now, let's focus on the composition. Because I think it's the one of the reasons that that picture needs some some corrections.
I find frames that are kind of square always very hard. I mean, you can fit a composition into any aspect ratio.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a lot harder when you have more of a square image.
Yeah, I think for this one would be even cooler if we just make some wrap around, like a cinematic view or something.
Yeah.
And let's see how it look later. I would avoid also like you have in the beginning. It's quite tricky when you have two the same sized objects like the buildings parallelly set in the same line, and in between it's like the robot, but he is too low for the composition. So these objects are just dominating the character that should be the focal for that scene.
Yeah, you're basically balancing out the negative spaces. A bit nice.
Yeah, and it's quite cool if you just make some warfare picture to avoid as much as you can very straight line that are crossing the canvas, because it makes very stiff effect and very static. So if there are some debris, the building can have some holes, some destroyed structures.
I see that there's some questions already, so I'm just gonna have a quick look through them. One question is, I see a lot of artists use simple 3D interiors or environments to start their painting, like setting up basic composition and lighting. What program is best used to do this, and how could you show something like that, building a simple room one day? I don't really understand the second part of the question, but when it comes to the program, I don't think the programs kind of do the same. I think he's talking about a block mesh, and anything that has a renderer will probably be able to give you proper block mesh. So as long as you have the possibility to set up some basic lights and maybe some ambient occlusion or something. You could use Modo, you could use 3ds Max or Maya, Cinema 4D. All of these programs work. In terms of modeling, again, you can do it in every program. You could even use SketchUp to just model it because it's very fast, and then export it and bring it into another program and render it out from there. It really doesn't matter which program you use because they all kind of do the same. All you need is to be able to set up lights and to be able to render the image. So I think that answers that question. And the second part, I don't really understand. So, and Darek got dropped, so it's just me now. Fun. Let me just message him quickly.
Hello?
Ah, you're back. Okay.
Yeah, something just someone was interrupted. So let me share my screen again. The screen is locked right now.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So basically, I finished my talk with trying to tell you that you can deferring the stuff like like the debris of the building, the destroyed ones that can be uh, put in more versatile stuff, not only just straight lines with cutted the roots or so. You can just make some holes in the buildings, and you can see from that holes another parts of the city.
Yeah, this also makes it look less like you just took a photo of a building and pasted it in.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you want to use photos for this kind of scene, I suggest that you maybe look up photos of buildings that are destroyed. You can find a lot on Google.
Yeah, you can see a lot of nice shapes in there.
Yeah.
But it's quite cool if you have already set some, some ideas, some shapes established, and then you can just paste the photo in the parts to enrich the details, not depend fully and wholly on the picture or photo, because it gives you much more freedom if you establish your composition on your own, and then just fill some, some parts with the photo to make it even better.
Yeah, so just texture your painting rather than painting your texture.
Yeah.
Better way to approach it.
Maybe some more details to make it more dynamic. I will focus on the shape so far, so probably will make some details that are on the picture more loosey and more simple.
Mm-hmm. I love that brush. Dark brush.
Yeah, it's like I'm using it like 90% all the time, almost. So.
But it's cool because it makes your painting really recognizable, that it's your style,
Mm-hmm.
This is some good risotto. Oh, Darek got dropped again. Sorry, guys. Let me just get him back quickly.
Sorry guys, I just have some problems with my internet. I'm just not at my home right now, so it's quite shitty internet in here.
Yeah, let me just lock the screen on you. Okay.
The resolution is very low, so it should work fine.
I can already see that the thumbnail is becoming much more readable now.
Yeah.
I think the building on the right-hand side in the beginning was a little bit distracting, so it's kind of cool that you cut it off.
Maybe some parts can be even more exaggerated, like part of the armors, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to make it even more dramatic and dynamic in the shapes. Maybe let's put some light on it.
Alexis FCUK asks, can you guys offer some suggestions on how to go about doing studies? Best way to start studying perspective, for example. I think for perspective, you shouldn't really be doing studies because it's very technical and very mathematical. So it would be best to just read up on perspective and start practicing drawing very simple shapes, very simple geometric shapes. You can start with just a one-point perspective and just drawing cubes. I know that sounds incredibly boring, but the foundation of most things is just in basic shapes, cylinders, cubes, you know, pyramids, whatever, just very basic geometric shapes. And then when you sort of have that, you can move on to two-point perspective or three-point perspective and start doing more complicated shapes, like you know, sort of like a car or something, a blocky car. You can construct from simple shapes as well before you refine it. So yeah, I would say for perspective, just try to approach it more technically, because it's something very technical. So that's the best way to do it. Generally, for studies, I don't know. You just have to do it. I know it sounds stupid, but you just have to go out somewhere, bring something nice, and then try to copy it, I guess. I think it's really nice to do studies from life as well, instead of from photos on your computer, because you just see a lot more color variation and subtleties when you do it from life. So if you can go to a gallery or something, painting gallery, something like that, I would suggest doing that. And I've actually done it before and just asked people in the museum or something if I could plug in my computer to do a study, and a lot of times they're kind of cool with it. So you can just take your laptop and your tablet and just sit down and paint.
Yep. Yeah, it's regarding the perspective, it's like the knowing the basics only, and it can be really boring, but most of the time, uh, if you make more of the, you know, very basic cubes, or, you know, some cylinders, or, you know, another objects, it just creates you in your head the vision of perceiving the right perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as Jonas said, it's very cool to do it from the nature.
Tulio Barrios del Carpio suggests how to draw from Scott Robertson. So that's a good recommendation. Actually, we've recommended this book before,
Yeah.
but there's really interesting chapters about drawing perspective. It's very simply explained. He explains it very well, and just through different exercises are in the book. So if you want to check out that book by Scott Robertson, it's a pretty awesome book. And he's a very good teacher. He's very you know, explains everything in a very comprehensible way, which is cool. Okay, let's see some more questions. Will there be another challenge soon? Me and my friend ArtFX9 would like to kick some IS.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know exactly yet, because we need to think about what we're going to do and what the prices are going to be and all that. because the first contest was kind of a test for how we would do it, and we got a lot of positive feedback. Actually, most of the people were pretty happy with the way that we judged, and thought it was kind of cool that we looked at a lot of different aspects of people's paintings. But yeah, hopefully soon, but no promises yet. We don't know exactly, but there will be more challenges. But actually, speaking of challenges, maybe I can share something that I was talking about with Wojtek last week, because we were thinking for Level Up, because a lot of people have asked us if we were going to do workshops or something, so that people can actually meet each other and come together and socialize and paint together and all that kind of stuff. And it sounds like a really cool idea, but the problem with doing a workshop is that it takes a lot of time to organize something like this, and a lot of effort, and there's a lot of legal things, and none of us really have that much time because we're doing Level Up entirely in our spare time. So we can't really invest in that. We also, because we want Level Up to be free, we wouldn't want to ask too much money or try to make a profit from it. So that's not really our goal of Level Up. So we're probably never going to do a workshop. But actually, I came up with an idea that I think might be pretty cool, and that's actually to do an art trip. A couple of weeks ago, we had Eitan, and we were talking with Eitan and Wojtek after the session, and we thought, wouldn't it be cool to, like, instead of people all coming to a city and doing a workshop, we would all meet somewhere with like a group and then actually do a trip together, like travel around together for a while in a group. I mean, not obviously a huge group, but we could, do like a smaller group or something, and just travel around, maybe Europe or States or wherever people can get to, and then just hang out together and travel together and paint castles and landscapes and stay in hostels and do it cheap but fun, cheap but fun. So yeah, if you guys think that something like that, like an art trip, would be cool, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Why it would be good or why it would be a horribly bad idea, because there might be a serial killer amongst you.
Yeah, guys, if you have any cool ideas, don't hesitate to message us on our mail or post some idea on the Level Up group or even in the chat below the video. So yeah, we are open for your ideas, for listening to them and trying to think through it.
Yeah. The most important thing to us is to keep everything very casual and very informal. This is, not a professional endeavor. We are not a company, or we're just a couple of dudes who, are addicted to painting and vodka and
girls.
Yeah, so we kind of want to keep it that way with everything we do. We kind of want to keep it casual and So let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, man.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey.
I am back.
Cool, man. We were waiting for you.
All right. So I'm gonna start with like a tiny little rant about the Cintiq companion, because it's being really annoying and not wanting to charge. So if I do drop at some point, it's just because my battery has flatlined, but hopefully it'll sort itself out.
All right, cool. Maybe start with an introduction.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hi. I am Evan.
Just saying.
Hello?
Yeah. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Thanks.
I can hear. I can hear everyone.
Okay.
So,
So yeah,
is there
before
a
you,
chat somewhere?
start
Because I
going-
can't see one.
Yeah, maybe if you want to take a couple of minutes just to tell the people who are watching a little bit about what you do and stuff, and then we
Okay.
can move on.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Evan. I'm from Norway. I used to work for Volta in Canada, and then I stopped doing that, and now I've moved to Prague, and I do freelance illustration. Currently, I'm working for. I'm fulfilling my childhood dream of working for Warhammer, which is awesome.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I could say more. I could talk about inspirations and stuff, but I guess we're going to touch on that later in the conversations. But
Yeah.
that's a very short synopsis of me.
Okay, thanks.
I'm a big fan of Czech beer.
Oh, the real Budweiser.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Actually, I did
my
a
lovely
commercial
host
for
supplied it.
Sorry?
My lovely host, Tom Roller, he just supplied it. It's ice cold. It's delicious. Makes me
Yeah,
happy.
so if there's any people from America watching, your Budweiser is not the original Budweiser. Just say
No, and
the
it's
original
terrible.
Budweiser is Czech.
You know how Monty Python made a very good joke about the American Budweiser?
No.
Well, they made a joke about American beer in general, which goes, you know the similarity between American beer and making love in a canoe. It's fucking close to water.
Such a dumb joke.
It's awesome. What the hell was that?
Those are the Google sound effects.
Oh, okay. I see. So, where do we start?
You're the guest. The world is your oyster. Go ahead, whatever you want to share.
All right. Well, wow.
Maybe you can show your older works and talk a little bit about your beginnings and do some tour, and then we can jump into the demo painting.
Sure. Okay. So I kind of got my start with the whole thing where I am now with the whole Warhammer thing. I started collecting like little figurines and stuff, and then I figured out I liked the art in the books a lot better than I like to paint the little figurines. Mm-hmm. So I quit getting the small figurines and I just started drawing. A lot of inspiration from like Paul Dainton and Karl Kopinski and those guys. And then I stumbled across Paul Bonner, who's sort of been a continuous inspiration forever. And then I made the choice of going to like art school, which was like half great and half horrible, because half of the time they teach you nothing, and very much enthused about this whole like teaching yourself thing, which works, but why pay money for it? And the other half of the time they teach you a lot of like hippie art stuff, which doesn't really apply to anything. And so I didn't really learn that lesson until I continued doing that and went to like illustration in England. In Falmouth, which is in Cornwall, which is like the lower left part of England, which was great for many reasons, for meeting people and stuff, but it cost a hell of a lot of money and it didn't really teach me much. So I dropped out, and then I heard that Volta was accepting like portfolios and stuff. So I sent off, and their benevolent leader, Claude, accepted me to like do an art test, which I got lucky enough to be picked off of, and then I got a job.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's crazy expensive education, definitely in England for European standards. So.
Yeah, and like if it's expensive enough to be like an English student in England, but if you're a foreign student, it's like 10 times the expense, because you don't get any what's it called, like the stipends or money subsidies from the state, except for like the very basics. So and the general expense is higher as well, which is not cool.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so Evan, if you want to start, go ahead.
Okay, how do I start and with what?
Okay, so there's a green button on the left of the Hangout screen, which is screen share. So if you want to share what's on your screen, you can press that button.
All right, give me just 2 seconds. I'll just open something. All right, let's see.
Or we can look at your face for 2 hours. It's up to you.
Yeah, that'd probably be cooler. But let's see. Where is this button? I'm not good at this. Is this thing? No. Ah, here we go. Screen share. There we go.
Yeah.
Screen. Why doesn't it give me Photoshop? That's weird.
It's like you can choose the full screen, and it's better.
Ah, screen.
Yeah,
there we go.
Full screen.
And then we go over to Photoshop. All right. So this one is kind of secret. I'm not really. But let's see. So. Well, I mean, since I'm here, I might as well do like let's see. I've done a couple of dwarf portraits. I've done an elf. Let's do a goblin. That's fun.
Okay.
All right.
Just a quick heads up before you start.
Yeah.
Google tends to drop people out if they're painting in Photoshop. So things to maybe avoid are large canvases and large round brushes.
All right, let's we can scale this one down then, I guess. Let's give it a second. And control. Oh wait, I have to turn on my keyboard first. I have all these like
Yeah, that would be
Bluetooth
handy.
devices. So let's see. There we go. Let's scale this one down to like 1500, and there we go.
So you are actually our second Viking guest, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I know Espen was on before me.
Yeah. Espen, Evan. Do all the names in Norway start with a E and end on N?
That's actually kind of funny because you know Zadig, Alex.
Yeah.
Whenever we're with him, he just like he makes the derogatory term that he can never tell Norwegians apart, so he just calls us all Espen.
But is Espen a common name in Norway, or is it?
Yeah, it's quite stereotypically Norwegian.
Okay.
As opposed to Evan, because my name is basically just like a foreshortening of the name Øyvind, which is like it's the same name, it's just more elaborate and with like specific Norwegian letters and stuff.
Yeah, like weird dots and other.
Yeah, dots and slashes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the Swedish are much worse than us. Every time it's mentioned, people are like, oh, stupid Norwegians with your extra letters. I'm like, yeah, but we have 3 extra. Swedish people have like 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's gang up on the Swedes. That's what I say. All right.
Yeah, so guys, if you have any questions to Evan or any of us, just feel free to post on the chat, and we'll try to pick up them. And yeah, did you want to ask me, Jonas?
Oh no, I was just gonna ask a quick question to Evan about his approach. So, are you starting kind of in a value sketch, or are you just working quite gray, but you're actually working color?
I usually like for colors. I'm not good at colors, so but I've gotten fairly like all right at.
Bullshit.
No. Like seriously,
No.
my approach to colors is very sort of by the numbers. So I'll start with usually like with lines because that's. I come from drawing. I don't come from painting at all. So I'll usually start with like some lines and find something I like and then build on that. But for colors, I'll usually make sure to start with some sort of coloring. So like even though this is mostly gray, it's like slightly yellowy and slightly greenish and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'll go in with like a solid color block out after this, under the lines, and then sort of paint in shadows and stuff with a multiply layer. But all of that is basically to avoid like what the really I've seen what like really good color people can do, and they can sort of like paint in just in a normal layer or something. I've tried doing that. It works sometimes, but I get very reliant on like my very basic approach to not fuck up colors, because yeah.
But that's a nice approach because actually before you came in, we were Darek had started his overpainting, and the problem with the painting was that the person completely desaturated a lot of the things. And we're saying that it's very important to still keep, even if you're painting in grays, you still keep a little bit of color in there, because there's always a little bit of color.
And you also get this this weird sort of Photoshop problem that a lot of people get when they start painting in Photoshop. They get really in love with the eye picker tool.
Mm-hmm.
And because the RGB blending system is kind of sort of weird, it will always center towards grays rather than towards saturation. So you'll get this very sort of recognizable early Photoshop syndrome where everything sort of tends towards dull colors.
Mm-hmm.
People get very reliant on the eye picker tool, and I'm still not over that yet. Like I still, if I forget myself and I'm just like listening to music and painting and doing nothing. Sometimes I'll go like, oh shit, I did it again. I'll have to stop and go back and.
And then you play Britney Spears.
Oh yeah, you have no idea. That is the weirdest thing. Like
in the Vikings remix.
The Viking remix of "Oops, I Did It Again."
Oops, I did it.
Or like Miley Cyrus. Have you heard that weird ass Miley Cyrus song in like G minor? The one when she's like the Wrecking Ball song, but in like G minor. It is the scariest thing you'll find on YouTube.
How do you know it's in G minor?
Because it says so in the title. Like,
oh, okay. It's not
do
like you
not.
have an absolute hearing or anything.
Oh, no, 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 no. I come from a family with very gifted gift. I don't even like that. Very accomplished musicians,
Okay.
and I'm very much the black sheep because I can't. I mean, I tried going to guitar school, and I just ended up like drawing Legolas and Aragorn on all my note sheets. So like, it's family parties are fun because I get to like belt along with them and try to pretend that I can sing. But yeah.
Man, but you sing through your brushwork. That's the
Oh,
thing.
yeah, man. Making them colors sing.
Yeah.
Finding
Your
the sweet
canvas is your instrument.
I found this beautiful quote that I scribbled down from the Massive Black Workshop in LA in December, where I was listening to Eitan Zana go through like his painting process, and he was talking about like that golden zone where you get like where sunlight just stops coming around a curve and you get that really nice orange band. And he was talking about how that makes like colors sing, and I was like, God, this man is a poet.
Yeah, he's so poetic.
He
So
is.
sexy.
Oh,
Yeah, we covered him in butter 2 weeks ago. It was amazing.
shit.
Just ate some butter style. Cool.
And
To get back to the
slow.
color thing, have you ever tried painting in lab mode instead of RGB to get like a nice
I
blend?
have. I tried it out like after I listened, and this is like being the typical concept art student. After having listened to Knox go on about the lab mode in photo or like in his demo thing once, I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And so I tried it for quite a while, and then I stopped abruptly when I suddenly was told by a client that I had to go and redo an illustration because it was in the wrong color mode. And when I tried like transporting it into RGB, they were like, "No, we hate it. Go and do it again." So I was like, "Yeah, that's risky." But no, lab mode is cool, and it kind of negates that problem because the blending option is different.
Yeah, the blending's fantastic in lab mode. It's just a pity that most of the functions of Photoshop don't work once you're in lab mode, so that's why
Yeah.
I haven't really used it. I don't know why. There must be a reason why a lot of the stuff doesn't work. But yeah. You could, for other people who haven't tried it, try it out. Color mixing is great in lab mode, much better than in RGB.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna do like if you're gonna play around with painting like you do with like oil paints and stuff, lab mode is brilliant because then you don't get that anxiety of like ending up with drab colors because that's the last thing you get with lab.
Yeah, exactly.
And another thing which is cool with lab, which is something a friend of mine, Adi Salman, taught me, was to when you're gonna do like color balancing, if you do that in lab, you get some extra options that makes it easy to sort of localize the changes you make, and it's quite cool actually.
Okay.
All right, so we have our goblin. We're gonna have to add some little cool details. I'm gonna give him like a really shitty little pipe and stuff because that's cool. Maybe like a cigar. Let's see. You're gonna need some scars anyway.
Here's actually an interesting question, Evan, because you are just painting just right off the bat. Someone asks, Evan, how extensive is your use of references when developing a painting? Do you gather a lot early or when establishing the composition, or do you paint more from your imagination?
I take my quotes on like reference use a lot from Hannes, like Algenflegger, the dude, the German dude, because I hate using reference directly in a painting, just because every time I do, I very much end up like going directly from the reference, and then it's not mine anymore. So what I'll do is I'll do like the thumbnail sketches, and then I'll go while I'm waiting for the client to come back to me on it, or while I'm just processing for myself. I'll go and find like a whole lot of reference, and I'll pick out the ones that I find most interesting or most appealing in form of the illustration, and then I'll go and study the hell out of them, and hopefully sort of learn the lessons I need to recreate them solidly enough. And then I'll just go and paint. Sometimes I'll bring up like a painting for like reference on the side, but I'll almost never have pictures just because they tend to sort of distort my...
Yeah, and you tend to copy them too precisely.
Exactly.
Well, maybe what probably be worth a try is to avoid getting references from the internet and getting them just from the real world, because when you go out to like a museum or a park or something and you see stuff, when you come back all you have is your memory, and if you translate that to your page, it's already an interpretation because you don't have the visual references directly anymore.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I did that. I was in New York a couple of weeks back, and I got to go to the Met, which is a treasure trove of stuff. And I just went around for like 2 days in the Met and just drawing like Greek armors and stuff.
Cool.
And like copying some marble statues and stuff. And just when I got back, I would just sit down and do like a ton of like armor studies and armor sketches and stuff for myself. And I found it a lot easier just because at the point where you've seen a three-dimensional version of something you've only seen in pictures most of the time, and I've seen quite a bit of armor, so I know how that works, but it was really nice to see sort of this kind of armor that I hadn't really figured out yet, and it was a lot easier to sort of think of it in 3D and turn it around in my head, and sort of find the nice ways of tackling it in line art. That was cool. So,
Yeah.
in short, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. No, that's fine that you elaborate. It's always good to suggest some place to go to. I actually wanted to suggest a place that I went to today here in London that kind of blew my mind, called the Albert and Victoria Museum, or Victoria and Albert. I don't know. Ladies first, I guess.
Yeah, no, I've been there too. That's a really good one.
Man, it's just mind-blowing how much stuff they have there. Like my brain, I think I got like migraine just from walking around because my brain was like overclocking on visual library everywhere. It's just so much.
I got like semi-depressed from going to the Met because it was like I'm never going to be able to get through all of this. Damn it.
Yeah, just too much, right? Like you don't know where to start. You just it's overwhelming.
Definitely. So if you're in London, you should definitely go to the British Museum and go to like the archive, which is up behind the drawing hall. It is brilliant, and they have like copies of everything. I went there once and like just asked for Mucha stuff, and it's amazing. They have everything there.
Oh, cool. I mean, I've been to the British Museum many times actually. Like went sketching like some samurai armors and some Egyptian stuff, but I never heard about the archive actually. I didn't know about that. Sounds cool.
Pretty awesome.
But yeah, British Museum definitely another great one to go to. Their collection of Egypt is very cool. Their collection of like Mayan stuff is pretty cool as well. Yeah, museums, guys, do it.
Do it. So, any more questions? I like questions.
Which plugin is he using for the color palette?
Oh, it's the Coolorist 2. It's quite good. It's like $30 now because the original Coolorist 1 was like $10, but this one is 20, I think, or 30. But it's totally worth it, and it takes the whole color circle thing from Corel Painter and sort of improves upon it. You get a lot of like free little options for different ways of looking at a color circle. And I now screwed it up. What the hell did I do? Anyway, I definitely suggest using it. It's quite amazing.
Do you think it actually helps your color work, or is it more of like?
No, it just makes it
handy?
less. Yeah, it just makes it less of a chore to go down and pick colors. Because when you have to open the color thing every time, it makes it so much more appealing to just use the color picker. So for me, it's just a really good tool against my own laziness.
Okay. And you never use the standard color window?
No, not anymore. I don't really need to. So.
Evan, I wonder what runes do you have engraved on your stylus? What kind of magical effects do they give? Would you recommend Elder Futhark or younger Futhark runes?
Oh, Elder definitely did. I mean, the magic is always in the ages, you know. So you got to go with the old school stuff.
I didn't see any runes. Are they glowing now? Or?
Oh, they no. Like they're engraved and sort of like they make my hand sort of glow with magical powers and whatnot.
Yeah, because goblins are nearby, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay. Someone asks, how do I show form within the shadow family without making my painting look too dark?
How do you show form? Oh, okay, I get what you mean. I don't know. Basically, make the general shadow lighter, I guess, and then allow yourself enough value room to play within the shadows. But it kind of depends on how you're lighting your scene, because you have to choose whether or not the details are going to be in the light or in the shadow. It's kind of like photography in that way. A lot of time you can do both, but that can sort of mess with the painting quite a bit. So I would just suggest sort of making a choice on whether or not you want the details in the light or the shadow, and then going with that, I guess.
And with details, do you mean like actual detail, or do you mean like value changes and differences?
Like visual interest in general. Like value changes can be anything. It can be a scatter brush, or it can be just like using the color dynamics on and making sort of noise, or it can be detail. And detail and noise is sort of two sides of the same coin. Because the one, I mean, they usually read the same. It's just how much time you are anticipating that the audience are going to spend looking at something. So I guess that's the point. Did we answer the question?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna say yes because that seems like the right thing to say.
Makes us sound smart.
Yeah.
So just to be all explanative and stuff, what I'm doing now is just filling in the general form and sort of like making a nice little visual read for myself, and then I'm going to attach the line art layer 2, on top of layer 3 with the clipping mask function, and then I'll start like painting in with the multiply layer to create shadows and local colors and all that stuff. So I'll break in from time to time to just sort of explain, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. That would be really good if you could do that. I don't know if you've seen any previous sessions. We had Alex Negria from Romania a while back, and I think his approach is a bit similar. Like he also comes more from a drawing background and like colors it in. It reminds me of my animation days when I was doing animation in school. Only back then I didn't know about Wacom or anything, so I used to paint every frame with my mouse.
Oh yeah, I think I remember hearing you talk about that, and I was like cringing, like what the hell? How do you go through that? That's kind of insane, balls.
You know, a lot of vodka and tears and cry wanks, all that stuff.
I get you.
Yeah.
Cry wanks.
That's the worst thing I've ever said. Oh my god.
I'm all for alternate lubrication, you know, but dude, all natural can be a little much sometimes.
Yeah, let's keep it PG, guys.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. There might be kids watching.
God help them.
Yes.
Oops, that didn't work.
Okay, let's see if there's more questions. Evan, what is a good read on a character design and shape language? I don't really understand that question.
Ooh, character design. Like a good read. Well, that question can mean two things. So I'll kind of address both. Good read, as in a good book to read on this subject.
No, I think they mean visual read. Like
Alright, a good read is... Lord of the Rings is a very good example of good read. Because it shouldn't take... Or am I wrong? Shit.
I don't think he means reading literally, as in...
No. Like in the movies, not the book.
Yeah, but I think with the read, he means like how you read a design, you know? Like how a design reads well. Like
that was kind of what I was getting at. Like,
sorry.
In the Lord of the Rings, like there is no question when you see the silhouettes of the different like.
Okay. Yeah.
There is no question who you're looking at. You can always tell the Uruk-hai from the Orc, and the Orc from the Rohan dude, and the Rohan dude from the Gondor dude, and so on and so forth. So I think the most important thing of good design is, or at least for good like character concepting, it's partly to have a very readable silhouette that's recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's something to be said for like the using and breaking of stereotypes. And with The Witcher 2, I guess, Assassin of Kings, did like a really bang-up job on that. With the main assassin dude, who's this big burly dude who you expect to wield like a two-handed axe and like he's got scars and stuff. You expect him to be in like heavy armor, but he's like this rogue dude who's like super stealthy and he jumps around and he's got like daggers. And I think that was such a cool thing the first time I saw that. It just really stuck with me as like a good character because it's like a good joke, you know? It gives you the idea of what it is and then it just shows you that you were wrong, which is why it's funny.
Yeah, so you're kind of playing with people's expectations and then crushing them.
Exactly.
Just like in Game of Thrones.
Kinda, yeah.
That's a good read as well.
Just so, yeah, no, it definitely is. Except there are some reads that are just wrong in that TV series. Like the Ironborn look totally wrong to me because they have like square shields and they like look weird and shit. They should have had proper Viking shields. They should have been more like the books, I think. But like the Martells and the Lannisters and the Winterfell dudes and stuff, really, really good.
Yeah, but I think like definitely with modern fantasy, if you want to sort of get away from the cliche designs, because we're always grabbing stuff from the real world, right? When we're designing stuff, and we're making things, you know, foreign but recognizable at the same time. But I think sometimes it's cool to juxtapose things that you don't necessarily expect.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. But it's just like having read the books and being a big fan of them. That was like my one. Like, and being Norwegian, you're like, yes, Vikings, woo! And then there was nothing. But I mean, you're probably not wrong. It's just that my like expectation of it was ruined, and then I'm sitting there being like a bitch.
Yeah, you're just being very Norwegian about it, I guess.
Probably. It's my national pride. It got bruised.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But no, but so they do a good job, and it's again like with the silhouettes and stuff. I think they did a good job there.
So yeah, that's it, guys. Like silhouettes are very important. Shape design. Are you going angular? Are you going curvy? Playing with different colors is a very good way as well. You know. So yeah, these are all things to play with.
Especially if you're going to make something that might be moving, like a video game character, thinking about the movement and how that can sort of relate to the design of the costume of the character, for example, can also be a really good way of working with that.
Of understanding how is the mechanical side of the object.
Exactly.
If you are, you know, designing them mechs or so, it's like my friend Miko just gave me a lot of very cool tips about it. Just, you know, designing the mechs to see what is the, you know, the destination of the exact part, you know, of the armor, and if it suits well, if it's like kinda realistic to move, because it can still look very nice, very, you know, tight, but if it has not you know, very well through design, it's just, you know, it's nonsense, right? It's just only good looking, but nothing else behind it. So.
Or you can just do the Transformers thing of like just actually making it look really cool, but that stuff would never work in a million years.
Yeah.
I don't think it looks that cool, to be honest.
No, like the first time you saw it, like of course it doesn't look that cool now.
First one, but
yeah, that's not a problem with the design. That's a problem with the director. Who, I mean, an explosion is always cool, but not when you see it for the 46th time in an hour. You know?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's the design as well. I mean, there are robots with beards and cigars.
Okay, you're not wrong.
I think that's poor design. Robots don't need to have beards.
No, you're probably right there.
Or like an old robot, and he looks like an old guy. To me, that's really dumb design.
It's a little too easy. Yeah. No. Yeah, you're right.
Hey, I'm a robot and I have dreadlocks. I want to be Rastafari. Like, come on, man. Seriously.
And I love how like the guy, like the one Autobot that got killed in like the first movie, they had to make him like really Afro-American. So what they did was like nothing for the character build, and all in like the fact that he was like breakdancing and just talking in slang, which is the cheapest way of getting away with that.
Yeah, and it's just, you can tell it's just trying to sell, and it's trying to appeal to like a large demographic.
Yeah, it's
in a really, really crap way. Okay, here's another question. Do you think it's okay to laugh at the guest?
Yes.
I'm being.
God.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Because someone's calling out on me because I misinterpreted what you were going to say about Lord of the Rings. Sorry, it's my bad.
Yeah. God damn it, dude.
Yeah, I feel.
I should leave.
You should leave. Yeah.
Just like start spreading really passive-aggressive rumors about you online.
Evan, there's no way you're going to do that.
Oh snap! Wow. Someone just got in the game. Oh, funny.
So now you're basically applying the first pass of lighting.
Well, right now I'm just like finding some local colors because like a green dude can get really monotone quite quickly, which goes for any like other. If you settle on a skin color that isn't flesh colored, it's hard to immediately think about complexion because we're not used to thinking about that. Like you see it a lot in both video games and in a lot of films. We have like aliens with like blue or pink skin, and they're just blue or just pink, and there's no complexional difference. So I'm just trying to sort of get like a cool-ish read on like slight differences in the skin tones first, and then I'll start applying like shadows.
Yeah, it's a good point because actually, color of a skin can be any color. I mean, if you study photographs of flesh-colored skin, humans, and you start color picking, you will see that just reflections and bounces and subsurface scattering and all the elements that change the skin tone, there's pretty much every color in skin. Like you can find purple, green, blue. There's just every color in there. So when you do skin, it's really important to add variation to the colors.
Absolutely, and also with like just with lighting, you see a lot of this, especially like pinup art and like early fantasy art and stuff. You'll have these like amazing color settings, like the blue cave or like fantastical like magic light and stuff. But the dudes will still have like pink flesh-colored skin.
Yeah.
And it's like it's such a breaker of illusions, which I think people should be on guard against.
Yes, because and also your color perception it just tricks your eye, you know. I mean, we know that skin has the skin tone, so we see it even when it's not there. You put a person in at night in moonlight, and you take a picture of him. There is not a single red hue in his skin because all of the red is being filtered out. There are no red light frequencies.
Exactly, but since we know that it's flesh colored, when you if you try and recreate it, your first impulse will be pink.
Yeah, and it will look wrong.
Exactly.
It's probably a grayish blue.
Probably something like that, yeah.
What the hell? There's some really messed up comments in the chat.
Oh, let's hear them. Come on.
Can gay people use Photoshop?
These gonna be good.
You all
Can
deserve.
gay people use Photoshop?
Yeah.
Dude, I think the internet was falling out there for a second. Can you repeat that?
There are two weird questions. One is, can gay people use Photoshop? And the other one is, you all deserve bucket of acid.
What? Okay, the bucket of acid could, I mean, if we're talking about the acid I hope we're talking about, that could be an interesting night. If we're not talking about the acid I hope we're talking about, that person can go, as Woody Allen would have said, go forth and multiply thyself. That shit ain't funny. But
yeah.
But the other one, I mean, that's a weird question too.
Don't feed the trolls.
I suppose not. All right, I'll shut up.
Okay, here's a genuine question. From Kristen, how long did it take you guys to get your first paid work? So I think Kristen's a bit concerned about when he will get his first paid work. And let me just start by saying that there is no time frame on it. It has to do with your skills and how much time you put into it. It's not like, 1 year you'll probably get paid work. Some people take 10 years, some people take 6 months.
Yeah, no one will work for you. It's like you can just do something really epic and bam, that you have a work immediately. The clients are, contacting you and trying to get you on board. Sometimes it just takes you a bit longer. Even if you are better, you can just, have some gap in commissions or so, but there is nothing to worry about because there is always like, someone who is looking for an interesting person, and yeah, if you keep working and spamming, it's just, no need to worry about it.
I mean, that's a difficult question to answer because it depends on all those variables. But I can only say, like, for my own sake, I was just happy to get work when I started. So I would take like these very sort of limited pay jobs. So it also depends on like how low you're willing to go. I would do like illustrations for like $50 and stuff when I started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think that's good to to allow people to sort of exploit you if you're less experienced?
I don't.
Yes and no, I think.
I mean, again, it depends, because like, seeing as you're always going to be judged on your portfolio. If you're willing to do that work as a precursor to doing more work, or as in a way of building building experience, sure, that's okay. But if this is a continuous client who's keeping you on and sort of like just taking advantage of the fact that you don't know better, of course that's okay. That's being taken advantage of. But I mean, so that really comes down to the circumstance of the individual.
Yeah, and if you become better, it's not like that you will be probably, getting used by it because you will be more aware of it, more conscious about its stuff, and you can just, higher the rates and try to find another client. But as far as you are getting an earning experience, it's like win-win situation, right? Because they have some cheap illustration and you are getting experience that is indispensable to get through the, more professional work.
Yeah. So I think in the short, in just to put it short and sweetly, I think in a limited scope, yes. But if it becomes like a prolonged
Yeah,
thing
of course.
and
Like,
it's halting your progress, then definitely no.
yeah, you just need to be, fair to yourself, right? Is it, affordable or not for you?
Yeah, and it's just going to take time. Some people learn faster than others. Some people take a long
Yeah.
time. You just have to be honest to yourself and look at your work and look at what professionals are doing and see where you are. And, there's, like Evan and Darek said, there's different ways of going about it. You can aim low in the beginning and get some company experiences, which can actually be beneficial for you to grow because you'll be surrounded with people who maybe can teach you stuff. Like I learn a lot when I'm in-house, much more than when I'm like in my cave doing stuff. But then on the other hand, sometimes it's good to just practice until you get really, really good, and then you might be able to land a dream job sort of, from the beginning. It's really up to you, how much time you invest in it. And how hard you push yourself, and just try to set the bar as high as what you want to achieve in your life.
Yeah.
That was well said. I think you're quite right about that one.
Yeah, I just repeated what you said, so I'm kind of
okay. Okay. Well, linguistic magician, you.
just filling minutes, man, just filling minutes.
Oh shit.
No, kidding. But so someone's responding to what we just said. Don't you just get bad exposure when you're taking jobs when you're not experienced enough? I don't think you get exposure if you're taking like smaller jobs like mobile games or stuff like that. Your exposure is, and even if you're doing big stuff, your exposure is mostly what you put out there on the internet. There's so many people working in professional industry that you've never heard about because they're not putting their work out there. Everything stays within the companies. And the companies own everything that you do, even your soul. They own your soul.
Quite
Yep.
literally. I think that was my least favorite thing about working in-house. I mean, there were a lot of positive things. Whoa. A lot of positive things about working in-house, but yeah, but the limited control you have over the work that you do when it's done and sort of at the door is really demotivating, because you spend a lot of time and energy and love sort of putting into these things, and then suddenly they're gone and you're on a new project, and that can be really disheartening. So I give big ups to every client who sort of either it puts a very specific date on the end of an NDA so I can post, or who's open-handed with the NDA and sort of says like, yeah, give it like 2-3 weeks and then do it.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of those, but they are few and far in between.
And I think one of the most frustrating things about it is if the NDA runs out and you're able to show it, you're usually 1 or 2, maybe 3 years ahead, and you just don't like your own work anymore. You're like, this, I'm never going to do this.
Shite.
Yeah. I think it's very important to emotionally detach yourself from client work because, yeah, you just have to. It's the only way to live with yourself.
I actually got a really good question from a friend of mine the other day. I was out sketching, and he said, like, do you have the same set of rules for personal work as you do for like commercial work. And I realized, like, no, definitely not.
No.
When you do commercial work, as long as you're not breaking any specific rules, anything is allowed. So, like, photographs and photo slapping and all that stuff, I try to minimize it when it's stuff that I actually want to, like, do properly. But if it's, like, really commercial work and they want something extremely specific and they're very picky, I will Photoshop the hell out of something.
Yeah.
But then I will not show it. Then I'll be very sort of oopsie about it. But yeah, no, like there are two sets of rules, and one goes for personal work, which is entirely up to the individual.
Yeah, and I also think for most artists, when you do personal work, it's really about your passion, or probably in a lot of cases, obsession with doing art. So it comes from a very sort of, let me call it, emotional part of you, you know, where you're really expressing yourself. I know that sounds super new age, but that's kind of what it is. And when you're working for a company, you're just doing work. It's just business, you know. You're just doing work. That's it. And there's much less of your own passion that you can put into it, because it's not you, you know. It's a job.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's why I'm so happy to be able to work for like a company like Games Workshop with like Warhammer and stuff, because it was my childhood dream like 10 years ago to be able to do that, and it's been like, oh, you can never be able to do it, and then like through some chance meeting and through a friend of mine, he was like, yeah, they're looking for people, and I was like, oh shit.
Must lie. Yeah. So are you excited for the Warhammer movie?
There's a Warhammer movie?
Oh no, it's a Warcraft movie. Oops. If only there was a Warhammer movie, that would be freaking.
That would be a complicated plot with like 16 different factions and.
Yeah.
I heard there was a Warcraft movie coming up.
Yeah, there's a Warcraft movie. I mean, not that that's not complicated, but yeah.
No, but I mean, it's slightly less, I guess. But it's like 3. Is it 4 or 3 factions in Warcraft?
I don't know. I never played World of Warcraft because someone told me it would ruin my life, and I listened.
Oh, okay. I tried playing WoW once, and I fell asleep, and I just kind of took that as a fairly stark indictment from myself that I wasn't going to enjoy this game much.
But that's pretty good, because most people, they think that fall asleep, they're just dead.
Maybe I've been dead all along.
Yeah.
Maybe I am Bruce Willis. Damn.
And I'm the annoying kid.
Aha! I knew it.
Yeah, actually, coming back to Warhammer, I used to play this. I think it's from the same guys. Play this game called Necromunda. Do you know it?
Yeah, I think that's the same dude. It's like a mini-verse version of like one specific thing in Warhammer 40K, isn't it?
I think it's a separate universe. I'm not sure, but it's this very. I really liked it at that time because I don't know. It's really sort of grungy punk. I don't know, grunge punk or diesel punk, whatever you would call that. All these punks these days, but it's really cool. You know, like a lot of dudes with mohawks and then big spikes and guns that shoot lightning bolts and stuff like that. So
we're basically talking Mad Max in space.
No, it's not in space actually.
Isn't it? Oh shit.
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure. It's been so long.
All right, Mad Max with slightly different technology.
Yeah. Mohawk Mad Max.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That sounds pretty sweet.
So, to get back to your painting, can you tell us a little bit about the step that you're in now? Because now you're starting to shade it and everything.
All right, so yeah, flashing it on and off. Basically, what I'm doing is just like carving out keys. So it's settling on like a general direction of lighting. So I'm probably gonna do like what I usually do with these portraits, which is do like some sort of backlighting to sort of try and do that Eitan Sana thing of like getting the cool little like sweet spot lighting from behind, which is fun. But right now the kind of ambient front light is coming from about here. Do you see the screen?
Yep.
And so I'm just trying to like carve out the character a little bit and indicate for myself like little details I want to do later. and sort of giving an idea of how the armor is going to work, how that's going to look. Finding little cast shadows within the form, because that usually helps to sort of carve out a form fairly efficiently. And have you seen the line art thing that Marco Neller put out? Sort
No.
of talks about that as well. You should check it out. Like he talks about this finding like little triangles of shadows, and why they're triangles, I'm not really sure, but that usually works fairly well. Just finding these places where the none of the three first light sources are hitting. So you would get like non-tertiary, like fourth grade lighting, which is not very strong anyway. So you can go very dark in those picked out areas and get some really cool little details. It's about like at this stage is whatever you can get for free.
It's interesting because you're almost approaching it like a 3D software where you have like the diffuse pass and the aim pass, and like you do like the rim lights. Do you always do that at the end because you want to be able to choose your lighting, like your strong lighting direction at the end, or?
Yeah, also because I tend to get really sort of I don't know. I think rim lights tend to blind me a little bit, so I get very obsessive about them, and then I sort of forget doing all the other stuff. And then at the end, when I've gotten to a point where I'm happy with the rim lights, I've forgotten to do all the other stuff, and I have to go back and do it. So I always save that to the end.
Yeah, the best for the last, right?
Yeah, just popping it out, like putting out all the little finishing touches out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be a lot more subtle with it when you have all the other details down. You don't have to rely on the rim light to sort of mask out the details you don't have. Which I also think sort of adds a little something.
Yeah, it's an interesting approach so that you don't get sort of sidetracked, because it's very easy to go into this heavy silhouetted kind of style that everyone tends to do because it's so easy and it reads so well, but you tend to forget about all the interesting subtleties then.
Yeah, like I will do that when I do speed paints, for example. I'll a lot of the times I'll like in step 2 I'll just like smack in a rim light before I go do this, because this becomes a very sort of limited step during speed paint, because this is what you do when you have the time to do it. If you're doing a speed paint, this is not what you want to waste your time doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I had to, after having done quite a bit of speed painting for a while, I did like a lot of lunches and stuff, and then I had to stop, like physically stop myself from doing it, because I was finding that when I was painting stuff for myself, I was losing interest in doing all the stuff I really love doing, and so I would end up with this thing that looked okay, but I didn't love it. It wasn't my thing anymore, so I was just like, no, it's ruining me.
Yeah, I have a very double feeling about, like, I don't really do that many speed paints anymore. I think speed paintings are a great exercise to teach yourself a lot of things, but eventually you have to get away from it, because in a production pipeline you can rarely ever do any speed paints, and you have to at some point get back to doing proper painting and actually taking your time and thinking about what you're going to do.
Yeah, it's good to
one thing that speed painting. Oh,
Yeah,
go for
yeah,
it, man.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, one thing I was going to say, just like the one thing that speed painting really teaches well is like the kill your darlings principle, where like you'll come to a point where you see your piece and you kind of like it. There are pieces or parts of the piece you really like, but the piece as a whole is not working. And so taking the hard step to just erase the thing you like the most about the image, because that might be the one thing that's really ruining the image altogether. And then you'll see like, oh, okay, that might be the one thing I had to take away.
Yeah, it's really cool to have the balance in what you are doing. So you are still working on, extending your horizons and on some good thing, on some new things. Like Jonas said, it's like uh, if you are doing only speed paints, usually it not get you, anywhere, because there's still some work for the thumbnails, for the quick composition, for mood paintings. While production, it's mostly for pre-production period. But when it's more accurate things are needed, you have to jump into the new ground. So if you're familiar with more than only one technique, or or only type of the illustration or concept art, it's only good for you. But if you close yourself and limit to the speed paints only, you will be great speed painter. You will do some very speed and fast works. But yeah, in the end, it's not enough, right, for the
No,
productions.
definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people who hire, art directors and production designers and whatnot, they're not really interested in seeing that kind of sketchy stuff. This is more of
Yeah.
like an art appreciation kind of thing, not so much of
Mm.
a kind of thing.
That's why, like, one of the coolest guys, of course, to see doing speed paints is like Matthias Verhassel, for example. Just because you've already seen all the super like detaily stuff he can do, so seeing him do that is just doubly impressive because he doesn't just paint, like he plays with Photoshop like the rest of us do with a video game.
Yeah. And he has a freaking ray tracer in his head.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like really just like some of his paintings are just ray traced. Like just perfect bounce lights, perfect value everywhere.
It's a little bit like watching
What the hell?
when Kim Jung-gi like does his drawing stuff, and you just realize that he's thinking.
He's a
in,
printer.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, not a printer because he's not copying stuff. He's thinking in 3D perspective, and he just like chooses, and then he makes the whole thing in his head, and he's like, oh, okay, I've already drawn this thing in my head, so I'll just like draw it down for you now, so you can see me do it.
Yeah.
Fuck all you guys.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, with a printer, I meant like literally, he just goes like, and it's all perfect. It's all there. There's no mistakes. There's no pause. There's no thinking about anything. It's just, he visualizes it, and I think a lot of it is muscle memory as well. I think a huge part of it is muscle memory as well. So it just comes out. Yeah.
He said something about that when he was in LA. That was like he gets asked a lot if he has like photographic memory, and he was like, well, I don't think so. But what I do have is 3 hours every morning when I just study stuff. And you're like, oh shit. Every morning he just sits up and goes like, oh, here's an M16. I just drew it perfectly. Here's an M16 from another angle. I just drew that perfectly as well. And now I can draw it from any angle because I'm a crazy person.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Ah, those awesome Asian guys.
Like Matthias, you mean? No, wait.
No. Oh, he's not Asian? I thought he was.
So, do we have any more questions?
Okay, let me have a look.
Oh, we're gonna totally gold cap this dude's tooth. That's gonna be looking rad.
They say that the opposite plane from a light source is the darkest. Is that true? I checked it in real life. It's actually as dark as the whole shadow area.
Well, it depends. Like if you the darkest point, like let's say just for the theory, let's take a ball and you have it on a surface and you light it from one side. The darkest part of the ball won't be the opposite side of the light source, but rather the center at which the smallest amount of light hits it. So it's like the core shadow is exactly where the light stops hitting, and none of the bounce light from behind comes back at it.
Yep. It's like, try to think in the way that an ambient occlusion works in a 3D program. And that's basically like, where can the light not get to? That's the darkest point, because if you have a cave, it's going to be dark because it's surrounded by rocks and there are no light rays getting inside the cave. So, like Evan is saying, when you have a sphere, the connection point between the sphere and the surface that it's on has to be the darkest point, because the least amount of rays are able to get to that point. Your entire shadow can actually be very illuminated because light rays bounce around. They don't just go one direction, they bounce, and so they actually illuminate the shadow coming from different planes. You know, look, like your light source can be on the opposite side of your shadow, but if there's a white wall next to it and that is being lit by the light, then those light rays are going to bounce and actually illuminate your shadow. So shadow can be, illuminated in a number of ways. So just try to think, like, where are your rays not able to get? See it like it's like water. Water can creep through every single like small little crevice or hole. So where can it not go through? That's what you have to try to think of. Where can light not go through? And that's where it's going to be the darkest.
That's very Bruce Lee of you. Be water, my friend.
Be like water. You must to paint. You must flow like a river.
No. Oh, now you made me think of what's it called again? Now whose line is it anyway? Where a dude, where they're doing this like improvisational thing, and they have to say like really unlikely things to hear in a medical commercial, and then one guy goes, "Incontinence flows like a river."
But it's funny. But it's actually an analogy that really is true about many things. You know. I mean, Buddha was a pretty smart dude.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
That dude was no slouch.
Yeah, well, at least he lost some weight, so.
That's true. All right, so I'm going to just go and sort of try and I'm going to try and stay really light on the rendering in general, which has been sort of the main focus on all portraits I've been doing lately. Is to not go and like noodle out every detail, but rather sort of trying to stay a little bit aloft from the rendering and just trying to get like an interesting and good read. So all I've done now is just establish another normal layer on top, which is not connected.
Okay.
With the the masking thing, and then yeah, I'm just gonna go and sort of paint out and try and be sort of very very self-conscious about the values compared to what the angle of the form would actually be, so that it gets like a nice believable read.
I think it looks amazing already. I love how you paint like just the bumps and the skins and the the surface of the character completely painted, like no photos, nothing, just completely, yeah.
Many hours of obsessive cafe sketching. You can thank the population of Oslo and partially of Quebec for being willing participants in my sketchbooks.
But were they really willing? They're just not aware.
Oh, there's a good story from when we started doing like a sketch group in Oslo, and we wouldn't be going to like cafes. We'd go on the subway, because we were all like fans of Bobby Chiu, and he would do like some subway sketching. And we had this one day where we were all sitting on like different parts of the subway, because if you're all sitting together, it becomes really conspicuous. So we were sort of spread out, and on the whole train there was one other dude and us, and he was totally surrounded. And so he was starting to catch on that people were sitting around him, just looking at him and sort of scribbling. And so first he saw one of us, and then he saw another, and then he saw me, and then like two other guys, and he was like just sitting, being observed and being very, very paranoid about it. And after 2 or 3 stops, he just like bailed.
And he probably watched Enemy of the State the night before that. Poor guy. Poor guy.
I just read like 1984 and was just pissing his pants.
Yeah, it's funny. You always feel a little bit uncomfortable drawing people when they don't know it, but that's really the only way to do it, because if they know it, it just doesn't work anymore. It's like photography, it's the same.
Yeah.
You got to be a little bit of a creep.
You gotta do like Lonely Island and do the creep. And do the creep. I don't know if anyone got that reference. That got awkward.
Yeah, that's what the sound effects are for. This is to break the ice when it gets really awkward.
Okay, good move.
It looks like there's actually some feedback, but it's why. Evan, can I just ask you to save your file in case a lightning bolt hits your house?
Oh yeah.
And your computer, yeah, because we'd love to see your PSD file after you're done.
Oh yeah.
We will add it to the site at some point in the future.
That's cool, man.
Thanks.
So just to be like all teachery and stuff, what I'm doing now is again like just looking for places where you can do little cast shadows within the form. We'll get you a lot of stuff for free. So wherever armor is overlapping armor, you'll usually get fairly dark shadows. So you can sort of get away with mostly just doing, like never go totally black, but you can go fairly dark when you do metal shadows.
Mhm.
Unless it's like a surface that would actually get like a secondary or tertiary light source, in which case be careful.
Yeah, and the opacity of the material is also very important. When you have something like skin that's
yeah.
actually not opaque, you will always have lights just, scattering inside, and you will get more saturated, brighter shadows.
Absolutely. Like whenever people have problems understanding like the idea of subsurface scattering, just like take their hand and put a flashlight under it, and they'll get the point fairly quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And then once people realize it, they like to overdo it, and
Yeah.
people's noses are made of wax, and but it's all right. I think you can always push it a little bit in an artistic direction. It's okay.
Yeah, but like you see it a lot. Like after people have learned it, it's noses and ears. Ears tend to get very backlit very quickly when they learn that trick.
Hmm. Yeah, there's no bone. It's just cartilage in there, so there's nothing really stopping the light from going through it. And a very important thing to do, guys, is to make sure that you have a saturation increase in your shadows when you're doing subsurface. You can't just brighten it. Again, the RGB, makes it a little bit harder for you. But just make sure that the saturation in your shadow areas is always increased.
The one easiest thing to do to sort of battle the whole RGB syndrome is to just not use the color picker much, because like the use of color picker is kind of lazy. So like there's nothing wrong with using it, but just be aware of that trend in Photoshop or in RGB anyway, to sort of go for dullness.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I find I always get nicer colors when I pick a color from the color wheel instead of color picking from around the image. It's just, and sometimes you can also just introduce colors that you wouldn't necessarily think of, but they actually add a nice variety to your painting.
Absolutely.
Like we can see now in your painting, even though he's green, there's actually some really nice color variation and saturation variation in there. There's some browns, some grays. Very sexy.
And if people haven't done it already, they should go and read the blog Muddy Colors, because that thing is basically a treasure trove of understanding that brown and gray is not brown or gray. It's just the contrast to whatever else is on the image. And it's brilliant. When the moment your mind opens up to the fact that brown and gray are like the most interesting things in the world, it's glorious.
Yeah, definitely. Good old James Gurney. We've recommended him many times on this show.
I do that. Like I find myself doing that every time now when people like ask for something to do like with color, like a book to learn color from. I'm like, there is only one. There can be only one.
Okay, let's see if there's some questions. People are talking about hentai. Okay. I think there's a question here, getting back a little bit to the whole Warhammer thing. It's basically, Jay says, Games Workshop encourage or foster unique styles in their illustrative work, such as the difference between John Blanche and Kopinski, as you mentioned. Would you be able to talk a little bit about that?
Wow, okay. I think what Games Workshop fosters is always believability over realism, which is to say, like, their setting is fantasy, first and foremost, but it's a very sort of reality-based fantasy. So whenever they have even things like lizardmen or giants or goblins or whatever it is, it needs to look, at least with the newer illustrators, it needs to look like something that you could believe was there, even if your rational mind says this is ridiculous, So I've struggled with that sort of problem problem thing. Just thinking about it, like what is it that makes Games Workshop art appealing? And I think, at least to me, it's one of those things like when you see a well-drawn, well-painted space marine, and someone can take that hulking piece of metal that is so obviously ridiculous as something that could be believable, and they make it look even like almost even agile. That is, I think that to me anyway is something that's truly sort of a hallmark of Games Workshop art, to take something that is non-believable and make it believable.
Yeah, to some point.
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
we're not talking,
Yeah,
people
they're
will be sitting there
stylistic
and arguing for the
choices,
fact that,
right?
huh?
They're stylistic choices, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so how much you just want to push it in a certain direction. So does your goblin man, what's going on with his teeth? Does he have like a gold tooth or a little...
Yeah, it's gonna have like a gold cap on its tooth.
That's
So,
cool.
being the non involving artist that I am, I tend to use the pen tool a lot when I want to do like details and stuff. Basically because I don't like dealing with edges in any sort of involved way. So I'll try and minimize my involvement with edges by just using pen and selection tools. And then like using as large a brushstroke as I can within that to make it look I don't know, little impressionistic.
So that's interesting. So you're basically using the pen tool to make a selection instead of a lasso, or what?
Yeah, like if I want to do like a mountain, say, or something that where the shape is fairly organic and it doesn't like the minuscule detail of it doesn't really matter that much, I will use the lasso tool just because it's quicker and it's more intuitive and you can actually draw an outline. But if it's something that is already established and you sort of have shadows based on it and you have elements that sort of need to be maintained, the pen tool is great because it's vectored, so you can adjust the line a little bit and you can sort of make it be exactly what you need it to be.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I've never seen someone do that before. It's cool. I always found the pen tool to be super awkward, but that's just because I grew up hating Illustrator.
Oh, so did I. But that's what makes it like doubly sweet, because you feel like you've stolen something from like the others, the illustrators, the dirty illustrators.
Yeah, let's not mention them. Knock the wood. So, a little question. When it comes to rendering materials, how do you know how to render a material? Like, you clearly have a good understanding of, like, now you're rendering this gold, and instead of placing the shadow on the left side, you're actually placing the shadow part in the middle, which gives that sort of metallic look to it. Like, is this just something that you have from experience, or?
It goes to a little bit about what we talked about with the question about like where the darkest thing is. Apart from the interaction point between, say, the table and the ball, the darkest point of that ball would be the line shadow or the core shadow, which is kind of where I place the darkest thing now. And it's based on having drawn a lot of sort of armor studies and stuff, so you get a good feel of how light hits and interacts with metal objects of different shapes. But usually it's a mix between that and just like breaking down any shape into its smallest constituent form, so it's easy to sort of wrap your brain around it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look if there's some more questions from our lovely viewers.
They are lovely, aren't they?
Yeah, they're lovely people. We love you all, even with all the profanities constantly going on.
No, that's part of the charm, isn't it? It's like Irish people.
Yeah, and the domestic violence.
Oh well, okay. Did you just compare Irish people to domestic violence? Because I will have no part of that, sir.
No, I didn't. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna call a piece of clothing a wife beater, there must be a reason for it.
Oh wow, that is a can of worms.
It's just an observation. I have nothing against Irish people. Actually, Ireland is awesome. I went there last year and I had a great time.
I want
But
to go to Ireland.
huh?
I want to go to Ireland. It sounds cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really beautiful. The landscapes are they're very much what you expect. They'll get closer to your Ironborn experience than the TV show. Foggy,
Hopefully.
rolling hills, and dark, rocky cliffs, and all that stuff. It's pretty amazing.
So you still going out and doing the whole reference gathering gig, or is that like passe?
Not as much as I used to because I'm like working a lot more. But I try to have a few months off every year so I can travel and I can, take photos for CG textures and stuff. And I will do that this year as well. I still have like tons to upload, so I have a huge backlog of like about 5,000 to 10,000 photos. So I hope to share that with everyone because CG Textures is free, so you can just download a lot of stuff there. I have a huge amount from all the national parks in the States that I went to, from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, all the south of the US. That still needs to be uploaded, and yeah.
It's a pretty sweet.
Oh no, I offended Steph, an Irish girl, in the chat. I'm sorry. I'll buy you a drink.
Oh, you smooth talker, you.
Yeah. And talking about smooth talking, someone's asking if I've ever drawn hentai. Be honest. Yes, I used to draw hentai when I was 15. I drew hentai for like 3 years, and I got in a lot of trouble because my teachers were like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And my dad was like, "Cool." And yeah, that's all.
And which one was worse?
No, I don't know, but it's just, sometimes when I go visit my father because he's in Belgium, he'd be like, "Oh, by the way, I found some more drawings of yours from back in the day." I'm like, "Okay. Yeah, you really had a lot of imagination, didn't you?" Yeah.
And why are these pages sticking together?
No way, man. No. Don't take it there. No. This was pure anatomy studying, okay?
Oh, yes, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the human form very well. Okay.
Not to mention tentacles.
Yeah, not to mention copulating poses.
Exactly. I mean, it's key, I guess.
But yeah, so yeah.
Copulating poses. You could have done. You could have made a pretty good politician, I think.
That's funny because when I was small, I wanted to be a lawyer. It's kind of a weird.
No.
It's a kind of a weird aspiration to have, but yeah, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to,
Then you grew up to be someone with a soul. That's a surprise.
Oh man, I don't have a soul. It's all bullshit.
It's all lies.
I'm going to hell right with all the other lawyers for sure.
Right the hell in the handbasket.
Okay, so here's another question. If you're teaching yourself, how do you know when you're ready for the next step in terms of fundamentals? Since the resources online are so disorganized, it's easy to get confused.
Well, that's a weird question because how do you know that? I don't know. But you start at one point, and then when you can, with confidence, do something intuitive of whatever you've been studying, you're ready to move on to whatever's next. But there isn't like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step thing. You should start with basic anatomy and basic whatever it is. And when you've mastered the basics, and you'll probably know when you've mastered the basics because you're not having an anxiety attack whenever you're approaching them, you can move on to the next, I guess.
Yeah. I have maybe a slightly different opinion about that. I think a lot of people maybe get too obsessed with when they're ready or what to do when. I think it doesn't really matter that much because you need to get mileage on every level. I mean, that's not to say that you should get ahead of yourself, and you have to know your own limitations, and you have to know that some things are out of your league and that you're not there yet. But some people like really obsessed, like, okay, I got to learn perspective first, and then I got to do anatomy, and then I got to do color theory. You have to learn all those things eventually, and the only way to do it is just by doing it. So maybe spend less time making graphs and planning everything out, and just paint, because you will study everything eventually, and you will get better at everything eventually, and you will have to start from scratch.
You can quote the last samurai on this. No mind, too many mind. Just go for it. Like a good indication is if you're doing a sketch or doing a piece and you come to a thing, like an element that you're not understanding or not being able to complete, stop the illustration, go study whatever it is that you're not good enough at, and then come back to the illustration and rock it.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. To just say like, okay, I clearly suck at this. Why? Why do I suck at this? That's something I should do, actually. Damn, I'm gonna do that tonight.
Yeah, and then don't, like, people get really obsessed about finishing an illustration. That's not the point. Finishing an illustration, that's great, but that's not like the be-all end-all. Finishing it well, actually completing it in the way you wanted in the first place, is much more important, and that means usually stopping from time to time and appreciating what needs to be done, going and doing that, and coming back to it and going, oh, okay, now I know how to make it better. And that takes a lot more time, but it's a better way of doing it.
Yeah, so to quote a great samurai, once again, called Splinter from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, shit!
That you will learn more from failing 100 times than succeeding once.
This is true.
It is true, yeah, it is true.
Splinter, you are forever a badass.
Yeah, and yeah, he is. He's awesome. And, yeah, he's a rat. So, there you go.
But is he illegitimate? Because if he is illegitimate, he is quite literally a rat bastard.
He's a rad rat.
Oh. Oh man, we should take this show on the road, just like lame puns on stage all night. We'll be here until Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, we needed to keep sane, because the thing is, we've done so many sessions. We have almost 100 hours of content, and we can't keep up like pure technical boring talk all the time. Just, to keep our brains sane, we like to act a little bit silly. We really hope that you guys don't mind too much, and that you're still learning from the demos from all the artists. But yeah, you have to have fun in life.
It would be weird if it was just like the same thing repeated over and over again. So I'm all for the jokes myself.
Yeah, and then people get annoyed. They're like, yeah, you've already said that. But I mean, there is a lot to say about art, but there's also only that much to say, And some things you just have to repeat, because that's all there is to it. Some things are very simple. So, yeah. I think it's time for another sound effect. Let's see.
Oh, are you hinting at something? Just a little heads up. What I'm doing now is I'm using the smudge brush to go around the edges and sort of soften it up a little, because it's gotten a little bit harsher on some of the edges. So I'm just trying to lose like some of the hardness in the places where you won't be paying that much attention, like the edge of the nose and at the chin and everything, and just getting everything into whatever shape I really want it.
So you're picking points that are not as focal to do that too, so that it's it's more easy on the eye?
Yeah, kind of. And I also blocked in using like a slightly texture brush, and I can, like, on the top of the nose, I don't know if you can tell, but like on the top of the nose there's some texture that's sort of a little bit weird and stuff like that. And there are, just making sure that the silhouette is reading the way I want it is what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
More questions, if there are any.
Yeah, there are more questions. Are you planning on bringing this one for Level Up? Are you planning on bringing a cartoon-style artist for a session? We want to sort of expand to different disciplines, because I think you can learn a lot from different disciplines. So we will try to do that, but generally, because me and Darek and Wojtek are all concept artists, we will probably stay mostly in the sort of concept art illustration area. But we try to get 3D artists, we try to get some more illustrators, and yeah, hopefully we will actually be able to get like some people from, I don't know, I think it would be really cool to have someone from a quite different field, maybe like photography or fashion or something, I don't know, just to to see if we can, you know, introduce something different and learn something different. The only thing that we have to think about, obviously, is that it has to be interesting to watch. So we need to be able to display something on the screen and not just you listening to us like talking bullshit all the time. So, but if you guys have any suggestions, or if you want to suggest people that we should invite, or you think it would be cool to invite, yeah, just feel free to message us on Facebook or something. And yeah, if we like the idea, we'll try to get in contact with those guys. We have a very cool lineup. We normally don't spoil it, but I can tell you we've got some pretty epic people coming in the next few months.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Really epic. Really, really epic.
Okay.
Now he talks.
Epic. Really epic. Are we talking epic mealtime epic? 'Cause that would be kind of...
Bacon with Jack Daniels epic.
just a Cintiq covered in bacon.
Yeah, more bacon. Put inside a turkey, inside a pig, inside an elephant, and then roasted covered in bacon with Jack Daniels.
And garnished with like Intuos tablets.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're having a pretty interesting read on this goblin dude. Just gonna do some stuff with his earrings, and then we're gonna start playing a little bit with the front and back lights and stuff. It's my favorite part, because that means I'm like, I love being somewhere between 40 and 60% done, because that's when I find the flow and everything. But whenever I'm like above 70% done, I'm usually very nervous, because then it's the point where I might have fucked it up and have to go back to like 30% again.
Yeah.
But when you get up to 90, then it's just like a dance, but then you're pretty much done anyway. So that's always a little bit of a drag, because then you're like, oh no, I'm almost done with this one. I have to start over again. But so yeah, 30 to 60% is always my favorite, because that's when you get to do all the choices and like have all the fun. It's pretty much where we're at right now.
So guys, install a percentage app in your Photoshop, which tells you how much percent your image is done, so you can.
Yeah.
Up.
This is true.
Evan just eyeballs it though.
Yeah, man, that's what the pros do. You gotta wean yourself off some of these Photoshop plugins sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Develop the skills.
Oh wow, people are suggesting so many artists in the chat.
Ooh.
Will Smith. Yeah, we'll get him. Don't worry. Give us years.
You guys could totally get Will Smith.
Yeah.
You could come on and talk about like his fresh new styles. More questions! Yay!
Okay, here's more of a personal question, but I guess maybe we can relate it a little bit to design or art. Evan, what's your favorite recent video game?
Ooh! Well, that is a good one. Wow. I think for like the last couple of years, it's been Skyrim, purely because of...
You fucking Viking!
Well, yes, but
So obvious.
it's mostly because of the modding, really. Because it makes the game never get old. I've played it on and off like since it came out, and I've uninstalled and reinstalled and like modded the hell out of it a couple of times. And you can do whatever you want with that game. It can be either like the most epic, really serious. Because you can install mods that make every NPC killable, so you can lose your companions and like the game can really be heartbreaking. Or you can play, you know, around with the Randy Savage Macho Man mod, where all the dragons don't look like dragons anymore. It's the skin of Macho Man Randy Savage draped over the skeleton of like the dragons, and instead of like the epic Dovahkiin song, it's just Randy Savage shouting "Yeah!" whenever to the tune of Macho Man, you know. So like, I think that's my favorite game, just because you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, the modding community of Skyrim. I haven't followed it for a while, but I remember even a year ago when I was still, you know, playing around with mods, there were just tons of stuff coming out every single day. so cool.
Mm.
It's also really cool. Bethesda is very open to modding, and they give the community a lot of great tools to help them mod the game.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. I like that. I've always been like a big fan of Bethesda games. Even when I played Morrowind, and I hated Morrowind, but in like a very loving way. Because I hated it because it was such a difficult game to play. Because it didn't give you anything. It was just like, yeah, there was no quest journal. It was just this like the notes that your character made. So it took me such a long time to realize that there were hints to where you're supposed to go. So I spent like the first year in that game. I wasn't very old, so I wasn't very smart. I'm still not very smart, but I'm older now. And I just spent so much time just like walking randomly around and getting my ass kicked because I didn't know how to level. I didn't know how the game worked at all. But it was still a great game because it was still like something that scared the hell out of me. Which was
Yeah, I think that's what some people love and others hate about the Elder Scrolls series is that absolute freedom. And some people see it as a lack of sense of direction, and then other people just see it as I guess it's a style choice. The only thing that I kind of miss with those games that I have with other games, and that's purely I think because of the modding or the customization within the game, is that I never feel any connection with my character, with my avatar, and that's because you're able to create your character from scratch and make him like an elf or a dark elf or a imperial or whatever, but it makes them very bland, as opposed to a game where the character is designed and set in stone, like let's say The Last of Us, to name just a game that's like very emotionally engaging. You actually engage with those characters because they've been fleshed out as a character, and at the end of the day, stories are about people, and humans like things that are human because we're humans. That's just how we think, and that's like the one thing that I kind of miss with the Elder Scroll.
I think the difference there is though, like if you have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons?
You mean you don't mean the video game, right? You mean the actual?
No, like the pen and paper, like or any pen and paper role playing game.
Yeah, I've played Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, like the point is there that like the difference is you're not being told the story, you're telling a story to yourself. So the Dungeon Master is the game in this case, and your responsibility is to put yourself in the mindset of the character you're playing. So if you're playing like a necromancer or like an evil role, then you have the freedom to put yourself in that mindset and just like be maniacally evil. It's why I love those games a lot more than like say I quite like the new Infamous game, Second Son. It's quite cool, but it bears the brunt of the same critique that any game like that does, which is the purely oppositional moral choice mechanic, where you're either super nice or super evil, and it really doesn't do anything in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of impact evil or good choices in Skyrim does is very limited in the vanilla game. But as a lot of Skyrim modders will tell you, there's a mod for that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to taste, and I guess if you're someone who has more some people like things to be descriptive, and people like things to be left up more to the imagination. So yeah, like you could say, having your character not fleshed out leads you more to like sort of immerse yourself to that character. It's like people who prefer books over films or the other way around. Books are really amazing because they describe something, but because they're not visual, they actually give room for interpretation, and everyone can have their own idea about a book. That's why there's always so many mixed responses when a book is put to the screen, because suddenly you are putting it into like a specific form that is it's completely specific. There is no imagination left, and some people are just like, yeah, that's not what I saw, so I don't like it.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that both with like with most film interpretations of a book that I've read. There's always something not similar to what I had dreamed up, and so it's like it's not my thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But how can you please everyone? It's not possible to please everyone because...
you can't, but you can... Yeah. There's a difference between making something that is, in respective to... It depends on the book, of course, but like something like... just to not pick like the most obvious things. I have nothing now, Jesus Christ, because all I can think is like Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. But like 300, for example, you know, like of course it's not going to be exactly like the comic book, but it did irrespectively.
Yeah, but a comic book is visual, so you already
Yeah,
have
okay,
there.
you're right. All right.
Because words are just words, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You can describe something like to meticulous detail and still get 100 different interpretations of it. That's
Yeah, no, you're
so
definitely
amazing
right.
about the medium at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we're getting philosophical here.
Damn, we're getting down to the Socrates stuff.
Oh, Socrates. Yeah, good man.
Socrates. Sorry.
Okay, more questions.
Yay.
Drawing faces. How do I go about practicing? I've been trying, but it feels overwhelming. Any tips or techniques?
We kind of touched on this earlier. Go out, find a cafe where they have a beverage you enjoy, and people coming in and out, and then just draw them until they discover that you're drawing them, and then run away. And then go and find yourself a couple of copies of Andrew Loomis and Hogarth, and study the hell out of them as well, because they have a very good guide on how to sort of break down the complex shapes of the face and sort of introduce you to how to tackle this as a formulaic approach. That's what I would say anyway.
Yeah, that's good advice. And even if you can't draw people's faces, study people's faces. Scare at them to the point that they get a restraining order. But at least, you know, you will understand how the human face looks because it's so complex and it's so amazing.
And you will also get some insight into the legal system.
Exactly. It's like win-win, right?
Win-win all the way to the courts.
Yep, till you lose.
No, but I mean, yeah, it's study to a fault. That's what I would say. Like, and find artists whose solution. I mean, this goes for anything really. Find an artist whose solution to whatever problem you're having is elegant and appealing to you, and try and decode or deconstruct what they did, and then go and find whatever you are lacking to be able to do something similar, and then go and do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, just to pull stuff back to the illustration again. I'm now applying like a little bit of specular lighting using a color dodge layer and very low or very dark blue, for example, because my shadows are fairly warm-ish, and I'm gonna sort of brighten them up with a little bit of soft light later, just to sort of get a nice contrast to all this cold blue stuff. So yeah, but right now I'm just using the color dodge because it gives like a nice subtle effect on top of all this green.
Yeah, your rendering and your brushwork is amazing, man. Like I've already told you this a long time ago. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, that was the first time you wrote to me on, I think it was Facebook, and I was sitting at work and it just made my freaking day because I like looked at your stuff a lot and I was like, oh my god. God wrote to me. Jesus.
What?
It was like you and Espen, you do things that I don't understand, and I think I always love when people can do stuff that I don't, like it doesn't make any sense to me, but it's still really cool. And then you like complimented me on my brushwork, and I was like, but I just cheat. I just use like big brushstrokes in the selection. You were like,
No. I cheat. You're a painter. I'm a fraud. That's the reality. I don't know what I'm doing. I suck. Kind of.
Oh, dude, you are... I think I just heard the sound of like 1,000 people face-palming going, here he goes again.
No, but I mean, everyone has that feeling about themselves, but like, I've been building a new portfolio website the last week, and I've been looking through my work, and literally, like, I'm like, nope. Oh, composition sucks. Oh, this sucks. And I'm like left with 10 pieces or something from 400. From which I've only shared maybe 200 or something. It's just so frustrating. But yeah, I guess there's nothing we can do about it. That's just how we feel about our own stuff.
Well, just to quote the greatest Norwegian of all time, gotta get better.
Yeah.
I hope you heard that, Espen.
But see, that's the good thing, because as long as you're not happy with yourself, you're going to push yourself to keep going, and that's very important.
This is true.
It's just you have to turn that you have to make sure that it doesn't turn into despair. You know, you have to you have to mold it into motivation and not into despair.
Yeah, or rather, like despair cut with sarcasm and irony will be
Yeah.
motivation, because you'll be able to see what you can do to prevent yourself from staying in whatever position is making you depressed in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little bit like whiskey in that case. Well, no, you shouldn't cut. What am I talking about? Vodka, not whiskey. You shouldn't cut whiskey. Listen to that, children. Never cut your whiskey.
No, it's horrible.
And if you cut your whiskey with cola, I'll come kill you.
Yeah. The only thing you can mix cola with is beer.
Cola and beer?
Yeah, that's
Jesus.
actually a really disgusting teenage drink that we have in Belgium. It's called mazout. It's so gross. It's like teenagers who, want to get drunk, but they don't have a lot of money and they think beer is gross. I don't know why. And we used to just mix beer with Coke.
I think you just explained why. Because they think beer is gross. That must be like a national sin in Belgium.
No.
You can't.
Well, yeah, maybe. I guess so.
You cannot be Belgian and not like beer. That's a little bit like being Norwegian and not having heard of the sagas. You don't have to like the sagas, but I mean, if you're Belgian, you kind of have to like beer. Or what else is there? Chocolate? I mean, everyone likes chocolate. You got nothing if you like chocolate.
To be honest, I don't really like beer that much.
Well, that is your loss, brother.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's why they kicked me out of the country, and now
and now you're just wandering place to place.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm homeless. I'm a homeless guy. Yeah.
Wow, we just made this really sad. Let's bring it back up. Give us some sound effects.
Something happy.
Yeah.
That's
Yo.
That's actually a level up sound. That's
Okay.
literally when you level up, you hear that sound.
Cool.
Okay, let's see if there's some more questions. Okay, so here's maybe something. I think we've kind of already answered this indirectly. And so, do you think it's necessary to be able to draw before being able to paint?
No. Like it's a good question, because you can come from one of three schools usually, and it's purely or at least a lot of the times it's very coincidental on like how you grew up, what you did as a kid. You either come from sculpture, or you come from painting, or you come from drawing. And usually my simplest definition of the difference of those is drawing is line, painting is value and color, and sculpture is form.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and you don't need to be a master at one to be able to do the other.
No.
I know people who are amazing ZBrush artists and they can't hold a pencil to save their life.
Yeah.
But they understand other things, and they're just picking the right tool that supports them in their limitations, Because there's nothing wrong with using a tool, There's nothing to be ashamed about that you're using, perspective guides or 3D or anything that can help you with things that you have trouble with. Not to say that it's not beneficial to learn your fundamentals. You probably should, and it will always help you. But it's not required. That's why the tools are there. They're there to help you. I mean, even us painting in Photoshop, we have undo, we have color pickers. You used to have to make your own colors. Jesus freaking Christ! Every time you press the Alt button on your keyboard now, you had to like go and use your brush to mix stuff and then hope that you get the right color and the right value.
Yeah, but I think that there is an argument to be made of steering clear of whatever is a crutch. Like, of course, you're gonna be as a commercial illustrator, you're gonna have to have Photoshop as a crutch, because you're not gonna be able to do this in oil, for example, both because of the monetary investment, but also because you won't have the time. But in general, like if you're gonna if you're gonna do illustration, if you're gonna do painting and drawing, steer clear of whatever is a crutch, whatever you sort of have to use as a crutch rather than a tool.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what else have we got here.
Jonas,
Yep.
can you maybe I will
Switch your screen.
show. Yeah, because I already finished 2 overpaints.
Yeah, Evan, if that's cool with you, we can watch some of Darek's beautiful overpaintings and talk a
Oh
bit.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
Thank you very
Darek's screen is yours.
Okay, so again, going back to Felix Ortiz painting that I started in the beginning of the session, and I made a quick corrections yet. Maybe.
Darek, you have to share your screen, man. We can't see anything.
Sorry. My internet in here is so fucking wasted, so sometimes I'm just not able even to talk. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, actually, all the time.
Okay. So basically, I just made some more corrections to that version that I already showed in the beginning, and here is how it looks now.
Damn!
It's it's nothing really.
Ah, you sexy Polish man.
I
Can
just
you turn the paint over off and on again? I just want to see the difference again. All right, and back. Ah, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just didn't focus that much on the design so far. I just wanted to develop the depth and the overall composition, as we already talked a little bit in the beginning. Just giving some more effects, some better placement of the objects, and yeah, for just what we already talked about, the lighting effect, that the fire has some impact on the objects, on the parts of the robot, of on the environment. It can be some reflections, maybe just powder in here, or some water, just to give some more extra touches. But it's like I just made it on normal layer, and it's a very slight, there are very slight strokes. It's not like we had on the beginning, just pasted the fire that is blended into the gray area. So I think it looks much more natural if you blend it on your own, right? With the accurate value and the color, because it's like only the suggestion of color. It's like in here, it's only the suggestion that it can be some green part. I don't know if you can see it because I'm working on a laptop right now, but it's like a bit of green in here just to make some plants, and it's just the only minor things like this can enrich your palette already. It's like we have already a warfare scene with very with a lot of gray, grayish range of colors, and there's only like black and white, but the structure of the values plus some extra color touches, and you have like full color range, right? And that's what I wanted to focus on this one. And another one is by Paweł Mielnik, he's a Polish guy, I guess. And this is some sci-fi scene, and I thought maybe it would be cool to make something like in the Oblivion movie, with very clean design, with very cool and clean colors. So I made that one, and I also was kind of inspired by Maciej Kuchara last works, with that huge ball that it's like a white one, but it's very well, very much lightened, and you can see a lot of colors from around of the sphere that is absorbing, and yeah, it's like the lighting and some more clean colors, because in here you can just see a lot of I don't know, Miss Gold values. Like you have a lot of dark parts in here, but it's all looks like without the colors. It's like not too much, the structure of the values. It's like the water in here is brighter than the sky, which is like impossible, and the colors are washed out somehow. This is like you can see on that astronaut or some other character that the colors are almost the same on on the rocks on the astronaut. It's like you can do still uh, the saturated colors or in the values only, but if you just go and see how they are looking on color full color picture, let me just check it. You can see a lot of differences in the values, in the structure of the value, and in the division of the planes and everything in the lighting. That I just put a more focus on that character with some lighting that is hitting him, and there is some shadow maybe from the object which is we cannot see from the foreground, and the overall focal point is on this huge sphere. This kind of interesting. It's like leading your eye to this point, and it's like you are trying to think, what the hell is it? And it's like how the good composition should work. It's leading you to the main focal point that you want to put some more mysterious thing, or some colors, some details. I just left it like unknown object or so, but mostly cleared all the colors, or all the value structure on it. So yeah, that's this one.
Cool, man. Thanks a lot for doing that. Yeah, be sure to save them out, and we will add them to the website at some point.
Yeah.
Disclaimer there. Yeah, cool. Thanks. Can we maybe go back to Evan? Is that cool?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Back to the Rockstar.
Should I turn the... I don't know how this stuff works. Should I turn the screen sharing on again? Or
No, it's still on. It's still on.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, so we can...
So I've just been working on the rim light stuff, and just doing this on like a screen layer, and applying different saturations of the different brightnesses of blue as a basic rim light, and then I'm gonna play around with some color dodging and stuff later, just to get like those nice smooth light effects on top. And I'm gonna go back and forth between this screen layer and this color dodge layer, and just apply a little bit of shine to the metal and stuff. Little on and off.
Are you're using the color dodge? I'm guessing for more hard, small highlights, and then the screen for like softer.
Opposite, really. Like I use screen usually for like the really sort of hard outlining stuff, and then the color dodge, because color dodge has more sort of color variations within it, so it gives that. When you look at something that's like casting a lot of bounce light, you get a little bit of you get some pretty intense sort of light effects just bouncing inside your eyeball, really. And you can do something like that. You can do some fairly interesting color stuff with a color dodge layer on top of already existing sort of value structures.
Yeah, it's got a very hard saturation curve as well, and a contrast curve.
So, do we have any more questions?
Let me see.
I can also check some of them already.
Good, because then I can take some time off and do some yoga. Because it's been exhausting.
Yoga? What are you, a goddamn hippie?
Yep.
Oh, sweet.
Well, I like to call it a neo-hippie, because we're in nature.
You should call it, like a friend of mine in high school coined the phrase, concrete hippie. Which I thought was great.
And why concrete?
Because concrete is like urban,
Yeah,
so,
urban.
Like she's all for like the forces of the universe and like a lot of sort of new agey stuff, but she cannot live without her lattes. So
and her iPad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At least she's open and honest about that, which is like it's.
When we write the history, when they read the history books, 21st century is going to be called the century of the double standards, I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're worse than, say, like the colonists who were like, we're bringing, we're bringing civilization and technology, and also stealing all your shit.
No. Finding or borrowing. It's not
borrowing for an extended period of time without any
borrowing
intention of giving
forever.
back.
We'll just borrow all your gold forever,
Yeah.
and then when we don't need it, we'll just put it in a frickin' museum.
Exactly.
It's like.
We'll just steal all your stuff and then put it on display so we can look at it.
But you know, the funny thing is those double standards still exist, you know? So they're just being added on top of all the other double standards that we have these days. So we're just becoming like the epitome of double standards and hypocritical thinking.
Yeah. Hypocritical thinking. That's a pretty good coinage.
Yeah, it's like when you think very critically about hippos.
And now on the chat we have a lot of steroids issues regarding to your yoga, Jonas.
Steroids?
Steroids, yeah.
Why would I have to take steroids?
I don't know, just
shrink your massive manly dongs? I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that PG-13 euphemism?
Yeah, it was very, very PG of you. I appreciate it, Evan. You're getting the hang of it.
Like this, I've been watching this YouTube channel called Crash Course, and he has the greatest euphemism for intercourse ever, which is skudly pooping.
Skudly poop. Yeah, cool. I'll use it from now on.
Excuse me, sir. I'm off to do some skudly pooping.
Sounds quite posh, actually. Something a posh person would say.
Excuse me, sir. I must be excused to go and attend to my skudly pooping.
Wow, your posh is pretty good.
Oh man, spending a year in England and growing up like with trips to the islands, it helps out, and also massive amounts of like Blackadder and Monty Python.
Oh yeah. All right, here's another question.
Oh yeah, I just already wanted to tell some. There is some question from Zach McLean, and is telling, I start a personal piece without any planning or idea. Is it important to have an idea or goal with your work before jumping in and relying on happy accidents for the idea? What do you think, Evan?
Wow. That really depends. I know some people who can who just sort of jumps in, but this isn't entirely based on the depth of your personal library of reference, I think. If you have a massive library of reference and you have a general theme, let's say like you want to do something fantasy based, or you want to do something this or that or the other, then yeah, you can just jump in and just like start looking for shapes and stuff. But I'm getting the feeling that if you are in a position of asking that question, you're not quite sure. So I would say that if you want to do an illustration and you want to, if you're in the starter phase of doing it, I would definitely say that having a plan, having an idea, and systematically working out the idea is a much more, let's call it, cost-efficient way of going about it. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're investing time and energy in this, so yeah, I would say having an idea first is probably.
Yeah, I think the idea at least, right? Because it's like you have the idea and you can just focus on other aspects that makes your idea even better, right?
Exactly.
But sometimes doodling around is also really cool, but it's like he called it a happy accident, because you can doodle around and you can find, oh, I can see some good shapes, sexy shapes, and then I can go farther with it. But
definitely, if you want to do that, I would suggest just doing like speed paint. Just
yeah, exactly.
Because it's easier to just fuck around and be happy with fucking around in speed painting, I think. Especially because then you have a loose definition of something. Like when they come up with some brilliant combination of words sometimes. And you can just screw around with it, and you can just look for random shapes and just explain it in some vague term. Mm-hmm. But I think just in general, if you're going to do an illustration, have an idea. It's you'll save yourself a lot of heartache, I think.
Yeah, and especially if you have some limited time and drop the subject that you have to stick to. It's also cool to just learn a lot of things, and the perception and all of the process needs to be done very fast. If you are fair to yourself and you are doing in that time that is given to you. So
Yeah, I just realized I had a question for Jonas. How far can you bend your leg like over your shoulder?
Um,
Can you do like really crazy yoga things, or are you like what's it called, like the basic yoga pose kind of person? Like,
well, let me start by telling you like what's the bane of my life, of my existence, is that when I joke, I'm kind of the sarcastic kind of irony kind of humor
oh
guy.
shit, you were joking?
Yeah.
Ah, son of a bitch! I was really.
Yes, I was joking. I made a joke that I was gonna have a daughter on Facebook like 2 hours ago, and now like all these friends are messaging me saying like, "Dude, we had no idea you were becoming a father soon." It's like, no,
How
no.
are they supposed to do? It's not a joke if you just throw random shit out there that's plausible by the mere existence of you being a fairly secluded
No,
person.
no, 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 no.
That's not a joke.
If you read between the lines, it's very obviously a joke.
But if the lines are "I'm having a baby,"
No, no, no.
how can you read between those lines?
No, 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 dude. Here's what I did. I went shopping today, and I saw a dress for a kid, for like a baby girl, and it was super ugly. And I looked at the price tag, and it was 345 pounds, which is
Wow.
like 600 US dollars for a freaking baby's dress. Not that babies give a shit if they have expensive clothing or not. So I posted this, and I just said, I'm shopping for some clothes for my soon-to-be-born daughter. What do you guys think of this moderately priced tacky dress? Hashtag, or you can feed 500 African children.
Okay,
The
okay.
thing is pretty clearly a joke.
Or you can, yeah, okay. I get you. That's actually kind of funny.
And about the yoga, to get back to your question, I am as stiff as a wooden board, so I cannot put my leg anywhere.
Oh shit.
But I can do one thing. I can do that weird thing where you like cross your legs like Buddha, and you put both your legs over your thighs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can do that.
All right, so
So yeah,
could be worse, I guess.
but
You need to move, man. You need to move.
yeah, I know. It's just this desk job is. I mean, being an artist, being a digital artist, is super.
Yeah, it's wasting your life. It's wasting your health. Like,
Yeah, super unhealthy. That's
if
why
you
I need
don't
to.
move your lazy ass, you will,
But I try to. I'm not really doing like any sports or anything, but I try to move a lot, and I walk a lot, and I cycle and stuff. But yeah, you really need to sometimes just get away from that computer and just take care of your body. It's so important because it will crawl back up.
Sport stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I read in this fantasy magazine thing, there are actual Quidditch clubs out there. Like they play like a Muggle version of Quidditch where they run around with brooms between their legs. And I cannot decide whether or not I think this is awesome or just like stupidest thing ever.
I don't know. I mean, like,
I haven't seen it yet. I so want to see just someone playing it, just so I can make up my mind. Because part of me thinks that's amazingly cool, and part of me is like, oh my god, that's just so not. Yikes.
yeah, it's the whole geeky thing, right? Where there's like a thin line between being super awesome and being incredibly awkward and weird and kind of sad. I don't know. I think whatever makes people happy, just do it. And I actually think it's amazing that those people don't care if other people ridicule them.
Yeah, that alone is really cool. But it's like with cosplay. Like I used to be so like cosplay is kind of. I mean, and this is hypocritical out of this world because I do like live action role playing. So I know that I enjoy like going and dressing up and stuff. But I thought like cosplaying is stupid. That's just like going to a convention in costume. And then I met some cosplayers. I'm like, I was totally wrong. These people are awesome.
Yeah, they're just having a good time, right?
Yeah. So
It's like Halloween every day.
Exactly.
I mean, we all have fun on Halloween, so why wouldn't they have fun cosplaying? And actually, some cosplayers are amazing. I mean, often the suits are really ugly, and the people don't look like the characters at all, and you're kind of cringing inside, and
some of them are really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to follow this girl on DeviantArt called Linda something, and she's like an Asian girl from America, and she makes her own costumes, and she has a good photographer and stuff. And man, some of the cosplays are just amazing. Like you could just see like quality. Yeah.
I had a good opportunity to see some of the cosplays on Comic-Con a year ago, and it was really, some of them were very well done. It's like the people that did some of like this, they express that they are they are very very into it, and they are sacrifice a lot to make very good looking costumes.
Yeah, yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
but some of them that are, as you said, very not that good. Not, but it's more like for showing off, not showing the good work.
I don't know. I think it's also these people are doing what they love and they're trying to get better at it. In the same way that
Yeah.
people are sharing their art on Level Up, and sometimes you're like, "Ooh, that's really poor," but you got to start somewhere,
Mhm.
And at
Yeah, of
least
course.
they're
Yeah, yeah.
trying and they're getting it out there, and people will say like, "Oh yeah, it's a really cool initiative, but you could do this and this and this," and eventually they get super awesome at it, and they become, I don't know, costume designers for Game of Thrones or something.
Yeah, some of them they opened the doors for themselves, like with
Yeah.
hard work,
Yeah.
and it's very cool to see, that from very out of our world thing that you can do some very well paid job in your future. So
Oh yeah, it's a little bit like what we do. Like people start with just like posting stuff on like they used to post on like conceptart.org and now they post on like ArtStation and stuff. You know
No, no, sorry. I was just thinking about something funny because,
what?
um, basically,
Conceptart.org, which is kind of funny.
yeah. Well, basically, Level Up.
Oh
Level
yeah,
Up.
I remember this. I know where you're going with this. Carry on, sir.
Yeah. So, well, you know part of it, but you don't know all of it.
Oh shit. Okay,
Um, so basically, Level Up was made by Darek and Wojtek, not by me. I joined later. I think like around last year, October or something. Darek, you guys started.
yeah, yeah, October, yeah,
But it actually started getting serious just this year from 2014 and
yeah, when
on.
we started to inviting the people
Yeah.
to the
And so very shortly after that, like a month or 2 months after that, concept.org started a program, a paid program called Level Up. And it's
yeah.
written exactly the same up, with an exclamation mark and everything. And basically it's a program. You can enroll in it, and then you can do like assignments and videos and all this stuff, and you level up. And I think they started in February or something. And there was a bit of confusion in the beginning because some people were like, is this the same thing or not? And we actually wrote to the famous or infamous Jason Manley and said like, look, there's another thing called Level Up, and people are getting confused. Maybe we can work something out. We didn't get a reply about that. But today I went in our Level Up Gmail, and there was this really angry email from a girl going, yeah, I paid for your Level Up shit, and I haven't had access to anything since March, and it's August, and like all this stuff. And we're like, sorry, that's not us. That's something.
Yeah, because she already gave the link to the concept.org, and
Oh man.
I don't have the access to the site. So it's like it's like showing you what's the difference between us,
Yeah.
level up, and with our friends artists, and we are inviting top artists. We want to learn also from it. We don't want to get any money from it, and some of the shady ones that maybe we just stop about it. So yeah, we just only one level up, and we were first, and it's like free, and it will be free, and we will still invite the people. We will do a lot of more sessions. We will try to get outside with it. So yeah.
I love that though. That like he tried to do, or they, I don't know. Like they tried to do like a program exactly what you guys do, but they weren't
Yeah,
getting
man.
money
It's
for it.
some of the people that are following us notified us the day after they announced their level up that they used even our logo. But
Jesus.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a bit cheeky, I think.
A bit cheeky. Yeah, it's not
Well, I'm trying to
entirely
stay respectful.
good either.
You know, I'm trying to stay respectful because obviously I don't want to bash them, but some
yeah,
things
of course,
kind of
yeah.
not done.
Why don't you want to bash him? That dude. I mean, not to be too specific, but it's not entirely out of character for that guy to do this.
Yeah, I know. Like, I know a lot of stories about this person, but I think as a general sort of rule of thumb, don't bash people on a
Yeah, we are
live
gentlemen
stream.
on level up,
It's
and it's
about
like
it's about
we
respect.
we shouldn't we shouldn't even give a shit about it like Victor would say because
I just want to
we
solve the
don't
man to man, bring a fire.
Yeah.
face to face, one-on-one, fist brawling. That's how I'm gonna.
just like set up a boxing ring and just like let's trade man, let's trade fists.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You wrap like bandages around your hand, and then you put them in glue, and then you put them in like glass shards.
Oh yeah.
Van Damme style.
Your homeboy, in other words.
With the shirt took off.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. I think that we shouldn't forget about asking the one very important question. I think that the most famous one on Level Up
Sure.
to our guest. So Ivan, if you had a chance, would you rather be Godzilla or billionaire?
Be what? Godzilla or a millionaire?
Billionaire.
Or billionaire?
A billionaire or Godzilla?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'd probably go for the billionaire solely based on the fact that if I was a billionaire, I could probably like have built a suit that I could be Godzilla, and then I could choose not to be Godzilla from time to time. Because like as cool as Godzilla is, can you imagine how sucky it must be to be Godzilla? You are totally misunderstood by the world in general. You're gonna end up dying. And I don't know, you're probably not that happy. Your babies are being killed, and you're the spawn of like a nuclear accident. It's not all that glamorous, I don't think. Being a billionaire, I could do a lot of stuff with $1 billion.
Yeah, man, but that explanation with the costume is one of the most interesting from our guests, so it's cool. Yeah.
Sweet.
Some of people are just, want to destroy everything and fuck the billionaires all over the world.
No.
But you would be like a creative billionaire. And that's
with
cool.
$1 billion, you could make a Gundam suit. How awesome is that?
Yeah, but Evan, you can't do everything being a billionaire that Godzilla can do. Like, you can be a billionaire, but you can never eat a whale in one bite.
Well, that depends on how big my mechanical jaws are, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's still not you. That's your mech suit, so that's kind of cheating.
No, but now we're just talking silly proportionalism. If Godzilla is big enough to eat a whale in one bite, first of all, that's probably going to taste... I'm not going to say what I'm thinking, because that'd be horrible, and if we truly do have young audience, that might be a little uncouth, but that probably wouldn't taste that good. I'd rather go for like a nice chocolate bar or something, personally. It'd probably be like proportional anyway.
Okay, a nice chocolate bar. All right.
Or something like that.
That.
All I'm saying is that as impressive as eating a whale in one bite is, how nice is it really to do? I mean, it's really shitty towards the whale because you're eating him, and it probably tastes really bad. I've had whale meat. It's not that nice. It's quite nice when it's stewed and everything, but raw?
Yeah, it's like sushi. It's like a giant sushi. And Godzilla is Japanese, so he totally loves it.
Oh, wow, you just went Stephen Colbert on that one.
Alright, so we got that covered.
Yay!
Thanks to the people in the chat for reminding us every single week that we cannot forget this question. So far, we've been doing pretty good.
Good. Speaking of the
Yeah,
chat,
people already started to contrary the point that you already taken. Like Godzilla cannot draw.
Oh, this is true, but a billionaire can.
Yeah.
Suck it.
Godzilla can draw with fire on your face.
So can I with a flamethrower. And if I'm a billionaire, that is like the second thing I'm buying after like a Tesla.
There's not hard to find a sex partner for Godzilla.
Yeah.
That's true, but if you're a billionaire Godzilla, dear God, you could do some interesting stuff.
Okay, you got the point. You just get
No, Godzilla is like amphibious, so he impregnate himself.
He can you know, just to bring this full circle, Godzilla could impregnate a whale. Yeah, I just went there.
You just went there. Holy crap.
Oh Jesus!
I'm not entirely happy that I did.
Man, bestiality is illegal in this country. You know that, right?
It's not bestiality if it's two animals.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, man.
And in all honesty, I saw a dog have sex with a duck once, and it was kind of funny.
Oh, that's just wrong. Did you know that ducks are necrophiliacs?
Yes, there was
They
actually
will.
a Dutch scientist who discovered that.
Yeah, that is so like. I mean,
No, actually, even more. They're gay necrophiliacs.
this too.
Yeah, yeah.
If anyone in the chat wants to know more about ducks and their mating behavior, Google true facts about the duck and go to the YouTube video. It's this guy called Zay Frank who has these brilliant videos, true facts from life or true facts from reality, and they're great. And yeah, he has one about the duck, and it will just ruin everything. In the
Yeah, the
nicest
guy
way.
who actually discovered that, I think he had started a museum in like Utrecht or something about famous animal deaths. Apart from the necrophilia gay duck, he's also got a little sparrow that was shot because the sparrow flew into a building and there was a huge domino convention and they had like 1 billion domino pieces
Oh
set
yeah,
out.
I remember this.
And the sparrow started just like knocking the stuff around, so they had to shoot him with like a hunting rifle.
Oh, that's so
Or and then he also has the most famous hedgehog, which is called the Sunday hedgehog. Have you heard of that one?
No, give me.
It's basically there was this huge problem with I think it was Sunday, you know, like the Sunday ice from McDonald's, and basically the cup that it was served in had a certain size, and animals would try to get inside it and then get stuck and die. And so there's this huge amount of like hedgehogs that would crawl into these things and they would get stuck and they would die. So yeah, you can see that one as well.
That is brilliant. My God, the best weird animal death thing I've ever read about was this thing that started happening in Germany, which was like toads would start exploding for no apparent reason. Like no one knew what was going on, and like they just found like hundreds and hundreds of exploded toads. And what it turned out to be was that these crows or ravens, I'm not quite sure which, had found like a way. They would swoop down and then they would sort of grab frog with their talons, and then just like really ninja like stick their beak in like in their back and rip out their liver,
Jesus.
and then just fly off. And then the cavity would fill up with like blood inside the frog, and because their skin is like self-sealing, it would just become this like blood bomb, and then it would explode.
Oh my God, that's an awful way to go.
That is pretty bad.
And that was in Germany?
That was in Germany. I mean, where else? But yeah.
Yeah. Germany also, we keep going with these animal facts. Germany also has the largest rat king ever found. Do you know what a rat king is?
Yeah, I know what a rat king is. That is.
For those who don't know,
Okay.
a rat king is basically when rats get in a nest, in a rat nest, get entangled with their tail, they get stuck to each other, so you get these conjoined rats. And so basically these rats live, but they're connected to each other. So you have like 5 rats moving as one rat because they're conjoined. That's called a rat king. And I think Germany has the largest one ever, which was like, I don't know, 30 rats or something, all like conjoined together.
Yeah, but it gets worse too, because sometimes like one of the rats will die, but it's still stuck in the rat king.
Yeah, and they drag it around.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right, back to art.
Yeah. All right. So the goblin is coming along pretty nicely.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
So I'm thinking I'm just gonna crop it because like the lower bit of this is a little boring and nondescript. So let's see, that'll do. And I'm open for suggestions. At this point, I'm pretty much done with them.
I think it looks amazing, man. I think maybe his ear could use a little bit more space from the edge. Just a
Yeah,
tiny.
that's probably true. Oops. Ugh. Still getting used to the whole the cropping thing from Photoshop.
Yeah, I find it a bit awkward. I actually prefer just using a selection and then, I don't know. Get used to
I
it.
know your fields, bro. Look at it.
Yeah.
I love the 3D feeling. It's like almost like a sculpture that you photographed. Yeah.
Yeah, your rendering skills.
The accurate, values and showing the highlights that are very subtle. It's amazing.
Mhm.
The lighting itself.
Yeah, and just how everything blends together is really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So soft.
And it's all fucking painted, right?
Yep.
You.
We got the winner.
Yep.
Let's see. I'm just gonna.
And of course, Evan, please don't forget to save the PSD file after the session.
Yes, sir.
And yeah. Yeah, man. Awesome.
Any more questions? I'm liking questions. It makes
Okay,
me feel
let me check.
smart.
There's a bit of a delay between us and actually the feed on YouTube, so people are still talking about crows, frogs, rats.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Okay, here's one about your dude. How about that high saturated subsurface through the ear?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but then I got this idea of like the leathery
Too
quality
clean.
of the skin. I might try and like push something, but I was trying to push some light through there before, and it wasn't really like doing anything for me. Because I'm having a hard time figuring out whether he's like red-blooded or like green-blooded. If it's green-blooded, that's just gonna look really weird. But I'll play around with that a little bit before we call it done.
Yeah, how long have we been going into the stream actually? I kind of lost track of time.
2 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh shit!
Well, okay.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a long session.
Time flies when Deuce is at the wheel.
We still have the same amount of viewers actually, so I guess people are...
Yeah, you are attracting people, Evan.
Oh shit!
Sexy bastards.
Ugh. What can I say? It's them Viking genes, man.
It's the spirit.
The spirit of my ancestors.
Yeah, I have to say, when I was in Scandinavia, I was amazed with how many beautiful men walk around there.
And also how much money you have to spend on nothing?
Well, I live in London now, so I'm not
okay.
surprised by anything anymore. I pay like £1,500 for a room, and I can figuratively do a split and touch both walls with my feet, Like,
Well, yeah, but that's London. Why do you live in London? Do you just not like money? Is that kind of your thing?
No, because I work here.
Oh, you're working in-house now?
Yeah, I'm working at MPC, Moving Picture Company. I'm doing concept art for American films with people who have a lot of money and often bad ideas.
And are not willing to depart with enough of this money to let you live in an apartment bigger than the spread of your probably quite gorgeous legs.
Yes, my legs, yeah, they're beautiful.
Unheard of, sir.
No, I guess it's kind of my own choice because I don't like commuting. I think people spend too much of their time in their life transporting their bodies from one point to another. So I live in central London, which is super expensive, instead of on the outskirts, like an hour and a half train ride away. So it's my choice. But it costs me a lot of money, but I don't mind. It's a really nice area that I live. So
yeah, and you're in central London, which is like awesome.
Yeah, and I live like just around the corner from the Wallace Collection, which is a really awesome museum. I took. Yeah, have you been there?
Yeah.
I took Darek there when he came over. Man, those armors, they have like tons of armors and swords and guns. It's so freaking awesome. If there's a zombie outbreak,
And
I'll
even
really have like a route to climb there and with a samurai sword and just slice the hell out of this town. It's yeah.
Yeah. Man, what weapon would you go for in the zombie apocalypse?
Oh, I would go for the crossbow, katana, and then a regular knife, and I would probably also build some sort of system like in Assassin's Creed, just something that's connected to my wrists so that I can actually, in case that I don't have access to my other weapon, so that I can still like spike a zombie in the brain. But yeah, crossbow.
First of all, crossbow? No, why would you want a crossbow unless you hit him through the brain pan? You're not going to do anything.
Nah, man, crossbow is actually an excellent zombie apocalypse weapon.
But it's so difficult and slow. What you want is a good bow. It's quicker, it's more accurate, and it's got a longer range.
It has no power and very little range, and needs way more skill and like arm, muscle strength.
Well, yeah, but it's also less complicated.
Sorry?
It's also less complicated.
Crossbow is not that complicated, man. You just gotta load the bolt. That's it.
Yeah, all right, whatever, man. This is the millennia long discourse on whether or not like the crossbow is better than the longbow, and I will always stand on the side of the longbow. It's just.
No, I'm not saying that it's better in general. I'm saying that it's better in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, okay. Well, in any case, I'd probably go for a shotgun rather than any of those, just because I'm not very accurate.
Okay, but guns attract more zombies.
Well, yeah, but yeah, that's true. But like, that's probably true. But then, I mean, if you don't want to attract them, you should just run.
Okay, can we agree on the katana, please?
No, god damn it, katanas are horrible swords. Why the hell do people think they're good swords?
Oh no, Evan,
No,
what?
seriously,
No.
why would you want that and not like a falchion or a proper like just a longsword? They're better.
No, they're not.
The katana are overhyped. Trust me on this, dude.
No, they're not overhyped.
They totally are.
No, extensive scientific research that shows that they are.
No, extensive scientific research proves the exact opposite, my friend.
No, it doesn't. What are you
I have plenty of friends who do medieval reenactment who are professionals in this shit, and they all conclude, more or less without a doubt, that katanas, while very good for the singular point at which they are used, they're not really very good weapons.
Yes, they are in a zombie apocalypse. Well, they're not good for piercing armor. Then obviously you'd want a longsword or a broadsword. But we're not in like knights and magic here. We're in zombie apocalypse. And
what you want something that can cut both meat and bone, and katanas will get stuck in bone like a gladius.
Not if you have a Hattori Hanzo, you don't.
No, but are you Hattori Hanzo?
No, but there's a Hattori Hanzo over at the Wallace collection, and I'm gonna get my hands on it when there's a zombie apocalypse.
All right. I'll give you that one. I'll meet up with you, and I'll get like a proper falchion or something. Yeah. We'll see who does better. But
Yeah,
what you really want is a chainmail.
That's too heavy.
No, trust me, dude. Chainmails are not that heavy. We'd like to think of armor in general as a lot heavier than it really is.
Darek, you wore a chainmail when you came here. Do you think it's heavy?
Darek, did you wear it properly?
Yeah, it's kind of heavy because it was only one part of the armor. That I already got a helmet, and it still didn't, I didn't have any, other parts of the armor, the plate, the legs, the plate for the legs. Like it was only even not in a half of the overall armor, and yeah, I'm kind of strong guy.
Yeah, no, Darek's a strong guy, and it was very heavy for him as well.
No doubt Darek's a strong guy, but I'm guessing he probably wore it wrong, because I've done medieval reenactment for quite a bit, and I wore like full chainmail for a day, and it's not that bad. You run around in the forest, you kind of forget you're wearing it, because you just have to be wearing it correctly. You have to use proper belting and stuff.
Okay, you're just some super Viking, and you're just way
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's like anything else.
I'm probably too much smaller than you, so.
No, it's just about proper technique. Is all I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I
I'm
think
gonna give it to
that's a good point to stop the fight. I think that we all love each other, and yeah, it's like we should just wrap up pretty soon right now. So, yeah, it's like the beautiful demo that you made, beautiful talk, and some interesting things that you said about
some interesting banter about chainmails and zombies.
Yeah,
especially.
I think we've had it all, gentlemen.
Yeah, what a ride this has been. Amazing. Yeah, I think we can wrap it up, guys. It's been an amazing demo. Thank you, Evan, so much for joining us. It was really fun talking to you.
Thanks for having me on. This was cool.
Yeah.
I think we should invite more Vikings.
I think so too.
Do it, dudes.
Yeah.
Or maybe double session with Espen and Evan.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. And if we do that, we're gonna get our continental European asses kicked, man.
No guarantees.
All right, guys. So we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna save the PSD and we'll add it to the website at some point.
Pretty soon, as always. No, we made some pretty interesting work on the resources page lately,
Yeah.
but we still need to update the overpainting gallery and,
Yeah.
as Jonas said, the PSD files gallery. And we are thinking very actively about creating some gallery for our first contest.
Yeah.
And please stay tuned for the information about another one because we already have some pretty cool contact to make good prizes, I guess. And yeah, just thank you
Yeah.
everyone
And
to
we'll
join
see
us.
you.
Thank you, Evan.
Mhm.
And if you like our our activity, just subscribe to us and yeah, spread the word. And stay tuned for more information about upcoming things and upcoming artists because we have very powerful schedule, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Next week we have. We're not gonna say who it is, but it's got something to do with androids and with pencils.
yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
wonder who it
we will.
could be. Hmm.
I said android, not robot.
Oh. Give it
All right,
away.
guys.
All right, dudes. Cheerio.
See
It
you.
was a
Thanks for
pleasure.
joining, Evan. See you later, guys.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Bye bye. Hey.
See ya.
Later.